And we are live. Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake helping you create something awesome today. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing some brutal, honest, cutthroat, ruthless YouTube strategy advice. Spoiler alert, this is not going to be for the faint of heart. This is not for a hobby creator who needs YouTube to be a fun outlet for them. If you need YouTube to be an expression outlet for you, it needs to be your break from your 9-to-5 job. And if having fun while you make your content and do your YouTube videos is your number one, number two, or number three priority, this is not the stream for you. This is not the replay for you. This is not the strategy session for you. If YouTube has to, as one of your top three priorities, be fun, an outlet for expression and your creativity no matter what, my advice for you begins with make whatever you want, have fun, and stop worrying about numbers and growth, and don't wish for a bigger audience and don't wish for a play button. You should just be a hobby creator and you should just have fun and do YouTube because you enjoy it. My advice for anybody who is not willing to ruthlessly grow their channel is to not watch this YouTube strategy session. Do not ask how to make this work for a hobby creator. And that's where my advice begins and ends for the far majority of you. Now that we got that out of the way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up some YouTube channels, and I want to show you guys a couple of things here, because I'm going to go into advanced YouTube strategy and into advanced YouTube theory, but you're not going to like it. You're really not, because everyone wants to know, tell us something beyond beginners to grow a YouTube channel. Tell us something more advanced. Tell us something beyond the basics. You're not going to like it because it stops being fun when you reduce it to a numbers game and a tactics game to brutally win in YouTube. And I mean brutally, because we're just going to do this like winning an MMORPG video game or winning a real-time strategy game like StarCraft, and we're going to min-max everything. And so you're not going to like it. Now, to give you just some context, I coach creators all the time in different niches, and I do know how to grow gaming channels. But if I tell most of you exactly what, like most of you should not take this advice if you're a gaming channel and you still want to enjoy video games. I will give you a few nuggets and things if you're a gaming channel, but I'll be real with you. If you take my advice as a gaming channel, there's a 50-50 chance you will not like gaming anymore. So here's a creator who's crushing it right now. So SK is somebody that I've done some work with, who plays Supercell games. Specifically, as you can probably tell here, it's Clash Royale. He's using the vertical live streaming strategy. This works because he's playing a vertical video game. Vertical streaming is one of the fastest ways to grow a YouTube channel right now, but it's not the only way. It is just a very fast way. And the thing is, you can see a pivot here from regular horizontal live streams playing a vertical game. Wait, it goes back a little further. So before he started doing vertical streaming, because he's doing this pretty much almost every day now, when he was doing regular horizontal streams, but playing a vertical game, it was getting about 1,000 views. The pivot to going to here increased that dramatically. And so now this is a pretty much near daily strategy for him. I recommended him going daily, and it does work. Now, I'm not going to tell all of you that you have to use the brute force strategy of going daily, but it does work. So for a lot of channels that want to grow and to get higher in their subscriber count and grow faster and get views, vertical live stream works, and so does doing shorts in gaming. And in this case for Clash Royale, because it's a vertical game, it works and you can see the views. The numbers don't lie. Again, in a completely different scenario, Ashlyn, she plays Brawl Stars. She has a series that's very smart. Whenever she deviates from what's working, you can see the difference. It's the difference between getting 2,800 views and 24,000 views when she sticks to her strategy in terms of Brawl Stars. And so once you find what's working, you want to ruthlessly double down, triple down, and only do what's working, which means when you try to do other videos and go into other video games, or you try to do other things to express yourself, the numbers suffer for it. So again, my brutally ruthless YouTube strategy is going to eliminate a lot of expression, a lot of having fun, a lot of going outside of what your audience wants, those things are going to not produce the numbers that you want a lot of the time. This is not about luck. This is just straight up how it is. And again, like I said, you can have fun playing a game or you can win at a game. There's only the best of the best get to usually do both, at least in my experience. And again, if someone wants to have fun, I have zero issue with that. I have zero issue. Just don't worry about growing. Have fun. Be a hobby creator. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. But there are things you can do. They're just going to win. And I'm going to run you through the list. And it's going to be a little rough. And I'm going to explain how some of these things work. So again, there are formats that work for Abdude. He's killing it. He's only got 6,000 subscribers right now, but he's absolutely killing that. Look at this. He can get thousands upon thousands of views. And he had to pivot because Clash Mini didn't go global and the game basically got canceled. Supercell didn't go global with the game, but he decided to pivot into Clash Royale, and he decided to cover some very specific things in Clash Royale, and it's working. A video concept we specifically worked on was this Evergreen concept from him, to some degree inspired by Skip the Tutorial, somebody else from my community who's killing it, and it worked. So this can work in niches like gaming. Mostly, I don't focus on niches like gaming. I just happen to coach about 30 to 60 gaming creators in a given year. So it works out. This is Victoria from Contempo Coding. She's in the Awesome Creator Academy Pro group. And she is the largest medical coding YouTube channel. And and medical coding is a stable career right now in a struggling economy. She does mostly search-friendly content. It takes a slow burn for her content to get up there in views. But as you can see, she has multiple videos with over 100,000 views. And it's about what it takes to become a medical coder. And so the thing is, you can see that with this niche, it's a very lucrative niche because it's a very safe, stable career. People who make videos about their 9-to-5 job and their career can be very successful in YouTube right now because there are a lot of people looking for good paying, stable jobs. So as you can see, the majority of our videos do extremely well in views on a long enough timeline. So right now, if you do not have to be an entertainment channel to succeed in YouTube. I would argue that entertainment channels are disproportionately going to fail in YouTube. I think one of the most important things people could do is take all the knowledge and experience of a stable career and a 9-to-5 job. If in your late 20s, you're in your 30s and you have a good job, good career, good salary, if you make a entire content library with 2 to 3 videos a week about your 9-to-5 job, you can grow a 100,000 subscribed channel in 2 to 3 years covering your 9-to-5 job. And so Victoria, one of my students, this has worked out and does very well for her. Also, niches like career development, medical, legal, insurance, some of the highest paying niches in YouTube with over $10 RPM, sometimes $20 RPMs. So you don't have to go into finance or real estate to do a high CPM, high RPM niche. Careers, career development, and white collar professions do very, very well in YouTube. So that's Victoria. You have Cassandra becoming a farm girl. I remember she came to us with maybe, I think, 50,000 subscribers. She's also in the Academy Pro group. You can see she's crushing it. She does do quality over quantity, but a lot of her stuff is homesteading and lifestyle content focused around that, and food, gardening, and cooking videos. And this does very well. Homesteading, prepping, growing your own food, those are going to be huge over the next coming years with inflation, job uncertainty, looming recession rumors. It always does well, I think, during times of uncertainty and strife. This is another thing that does well. So anything that helps people save money, anything that helps people become more independent, anyone who does prepping, that stuff does extremely well in times of uncertainty or unrest. So great opportunity in that niche. We got Tom Nash in the house, another successful creator. Tom Nash says, hey, everybody, listen to this man. I did when I had 800 subs. Yeah, Tom is crushing it. He's doing very well for himself. So glad to see you, buddy. So yeah. There's a lot of opportunity to grow in YouTube still, plenty of opportunity, and not just for these type of channels. You know, my guy here, Anwar, Magnify Reacts, he does a muse and reaction channel. So he does extreme brute force. He uploads 3 times a day. Do they get the most views? No. But 88% of videos in YouTube never, ever, ever get 1,000 views in the entire platform. So what Anwar does is all of his music reactions are evergreen content. These can be viewed forever and anytime. So what is he doing? He's brute forcing and putting out 3 videos a day, taking advantage of his notifications, and if people just want to watch the videos, and if people happen to search for them. His videos take a while sometimes, slow burn. Some of them will pop off. Every now and again, he'll have something that pops. So he's going to get his silver play button later this year. He's at 93,000 subscribers, I believe. His thumbnails are fire, but it didn't start out that way. This was progress and evolution. So he is using absolute brute force to grow his channel. He's made 2,000 videos. And if you go back to his oldest content, he started with regular reaction videos and anime reaction videos, but he found his groove in the music reaction scene. And you can see how much he's improved his thumbnails. And obviously he got focused. And again, the anime stuff wasn't popping as much, wasn't doing as well. Let's go look and see what Anwar's most popular videos look like in terms of views. Because again, if you just look at his latest videos, you'd underestimate his channel. His videos eventually do pop. His most popular video of all time, 400,000 views. Another one, 400,000 views, 240,000 views, 240,000 views, 230. Anwar has multiple videos with over 100,000 views. And he makes so many of them that any of his viewed videos, because he makes so many of them, they could pop off at any time. Anwar has 2,000 videos out there like shadow clones, and 2,000 videos, they're there to recruit views, subscribers, and go out and make him money. So those channels, those brute forcing and having 2,000 videos, every one of those videos can go out and say, hey boss, I came back, I brought you $5 this week. Hey boss, I came back, I brought you 10 subscribers this week. 2,000 videos putting in that kind of work for you is a workforce and an army to be envied by anybody. So I know most of you have probably thought of and heard about quality over quantity, and I understand that strategy, but it's a strategy for artists. It's a strategy for people who have more money, privilege, or they're young people with infinite time. Quality over quantity does not work for working class creators who have 9-to-5 jobs who are trying to go full-time on YouTube. Evergreen content in mass, in bulk, is the singular most powerful brute force strategy, and it's ruthless. And the thing is, in terms of it still being, well, how can it be quality if I'm doing so much of it? Quality is not diminished by quantity if you do it correctly. If you do it correctly, all of your quality in terms of your content will literally maintain the same overall output. That doesn't mean and guarantee that it will get the same views. Most of you have made videos that had the exact same quality, same lighting, same audio, same editing, same set design, same research, same everything, and then seen videos get 1,000 views and 10,000 views with no difference in quality whatsoever. You've seen videos get 10,000 views with 100,000 views with no difference in quality whatsoever. So quality does not decide the fate of a video. Can we all agree that that's true? That quality doesn't decide the fate of the video, and that there's no reason that quantity would compromise the quality of a video, because we don't have any evidence that that would be true. You know, now what happens is people on YouTube always confuse and conflate quality with value. Value comes in your packaging and your ideation. And while this video is not sponsored by oneof10.com, we're going to use a lot of the strategy behind the tool oneof10.com to break down a ruthless and brutally efficient YouTube strategy to go to 100,000 subscribers. And if you're already at 100,000 subscribers or more, you could use this to go from 100,000 to 500,000 subscribers. But you will have to commit to most of, if not all, of the rules of this strategy. Now, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. This can work for gaming channels. It can work for music channels. It can work for DIY channels. It can work for artists. But I'm going to tell you flat out, if you're a gamer, you're an artist, you're a musician, or you're a DIY channel, you're probably not going to like this strategy because it is going to limit your freedom of expression. It is going to minimize your original artwork and those things, and it is not going to be fun. It will turn YouTube into a job. So that is the painful part of this. Most niches can accept that in a way that I don't think that most gamers can, most artists can, most musicians can, and most DIY and crafters can. The other thing is I do have more specific strategies that work for those types of niches. However, it's not mentally and emotionally healthy for most people who make gaming content, art content, or music or DIY to follow the strategy that I'm about to propose to you, because it is brutal and a lot of you won't like it, and some of you might feel that it's toxic to you. If you need to enjoy YouTube, remember, if this is something you want to be expression and you want to be a fun hobby, my advice begins and ends with do what you like, have fun, and enjoy it. So if you have to love what you do and be in love with it instead of just like it a little bit, if you have to love it instead of just liking it a little bit more than your day job, do not take this advice. It will not work for you. It will go against your personality. It will go against what you really care about, and it will probably result in burnout. Now, for anybody else, this will probably work to get you to 100,000 subscribers. If it doesn't, it will get you closer than you might have been in years or on your own. So we're about to go through the process here of how this is going to work. Take this with a grain of salt. No one has to do this. It is just advice. You can take it or leave it. So here's where we go in. This is the part of the stream where we really go into this. So one of the first things we're going to do is we have to, and I genuinely mean this, we have to decide to niche down and commit to one audience, one group of people. We are not niching down to a topic. We are not niching down to a subject matter. We are niching down to a community of people. So in basic terms, what lunch table are you going to sit at? Are you going to be sitting with the cheerleaders? Because if you are sitting with the cheerleaders, you have to be willing to sit there and talk about the things that that group is going to talk about. You're going to talk about your hair. You're going to talk about your makeup. You're going to talk about your cheerleading routines. You're going to talk about how the boys' athletics team is doing. You're going to gossip. It's going to be that thing. Or are you sitting at the nerd table? If you're sitting at the nerd table, like me, you're going to have to be talking about Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, anime, Yu-Gi-Oh, Marvel versus DC. You're going to be sitting there and you're going to be having nerd talk if you're sitting at the nerd table. And it's going to be those topics. Are you sitting at the jock table? Are you talking about WWE? Are you talking about your favorite basketball player? Are you talking about how you're going to make weight? Are you talking about how the other school sucks and how you're all going to get together and rep the school colors on Friday and what's going to be going down at the pep rally? That is how it is. You pick a lunch table in the cafeteria like you did in high school, and then you know that there's going to be about 5 topics that you're going to talk about with that group of people because that's what they're about. And if you come in spouting some other nonsense, they're going to go tell you to sit somewhere else. Does everybody have that experience at high school, or was it just me? So that's what niching down is. Niching down is not picking one topic. Niching down is picking a group of people and understanding that being part of that community means we probably care about like 5 or 6 things that we always talk about every day. And that as long as you are talking about one of those things, then you get to be in the community and have something to contribute, and that you can have one of those 6 things and start a conversation. That's how it is. So when we pick a niche, we are picking an audience. We are picking a group of people. And so the thing is, there are people who will float from group to group to group in high school. You can do that. Do you know what the problem is? You're not going to have depth of relationship if you go from group to group, unless you're some kind of mythical unicorn. And if you were some kind of mythical unicorn, you are not looking for a YouTube strategy. You're already a viral content creator. And that's no offense to anybody. I'm just using that as an example. If you are already someone who can sustain variety content, there's a high probability that if you are going to float from place to place, you are not claimed by anybody. You cannot be all things to all people, and you cannot have depth at the expense of you cannot have width and broad at the expense of depth. It will be shallow. There are exceptional creators who are unicorns who stand out to this rule. And again, most guys who are successful on YouTube and have 10 million subscribers are a jock, a genius, or a joker. It's very rare for them to be all three. Some of them can be two at best. They're known for one of those things, and they might secretly be the other one. You know, and that's my analogy for the guys. Now, here's the thing. If you are not somebody who was in real life charismatic, outlier special, outlier attractive, you probably are not going to have broad appeal as an entertainment variety YouTuber. You might need to accept that that is reality and have self-awareness. The reason this becomes important is because when we commit to that audience, we're going to commit to serving that audience. And what we're going to give that audience in terms of our supply and demand relationship is something we're going to be very ruthless about. We're going to make about 100 to 150 YouTube videos every single year, or we're going to go daily. So we're going to pick a group of people, and then we're going to supply that group of people with a consistent feed of content of only what they care about, So we're going to pick our people very carefully, and we're going to think about them. We're going to call them our audience avatar. So for our audience avatar, we're going to analyze the psychology of that person, and we're going to kind of ruthlessly pare down to who that is. So to help you with that, I have something called the clarity framework. And so what are these people's core values? What's the look and feel and aesthetic that is going to attract them to us? How do we dress to impress for these people? How do we make thumbnails that they're going to be attracted to? How do we become somebody that looks the part and plays the role for them? How are we going to also really make sure that we understand this audience deeply? How are we going to build a reputation with them? How are we going to showcase some of our individuality and personality to make them interested and invested in us? How are we going to build trust with them? And then what's the yield? What are they going to get out of watching us? So that's what I teach. This is part of what I teach. This is one of our core frameworks in Awesome Creator Academy. So understanding people's core values. What beliefs do you want your brand to embody? Who does that attract? How does that align with the audience? What are the visual elements and color and typography? What does that do to attract your ideal person? What's your audience's age, demographics? What's their location? What other content do they like? How do they engage with content? When are they available to watch content? What will they respond to and why? You need to understand these things. What do you do to build a reputation? What do you do to stand out in your niche? What makes you a unique individual? This is important. How do you communicate that your audience can trust you and make a commitment to you? And then what do they get out of your content? What is the value proposition? What is the benefit? If you can answer these things, you have clarity for your content and your brand. So this is something that we teach in Awesome Creator Academy. So once we understand who our core audience is, we're going to figure out what we have the capacity for, especially if you're a working class content creator who works 40 hours a week as a 9-to-5 job. You got to figure out how you're going to make 100 to 150 videos every single month. Oh, sorry, not month. That's too much. Every single year, we're going to make 100 to 150 a year. Okay, this is long form content, not shorts. There's a different strategy that we brute force if we do shorts. Or you could go daily. I went daily for 3 years. I don't recommend it for everybody. It is brutal, but it does work. It does work. And for those 3 years while I was daily, I gained like 100,000 subscribers every year I stayed daily. When I couldn't sustain being daily, I got less subscribers. That's how it is. When I uploaded 75% less content during the pandemic years, my growth was 75% less. I know that these numbers work, and I've done this with multiple channels. I've coached about 600 channels now. I know that this works under certain conditions. There are exceptions to this if you are exceptional. If you're much better at, attracting people, if you're much more capable, if you have more resources, this can work even better. Sometimes you might have to do a scaled back version of this if you have limitations, but this will fundamentally work. Now, some of you are saying your problem is video ideas. We're about to solve for the problem of video ideas. So if we need to make 100 to 150 videos in a year, we have to be able to have the ideas and to be able to qualify our ideas. Part of this is we're going to make content pillars. So that means when we understand who our audience is, we're going to make anywhere from 3, 5, or 6 different content pillars. These are going to be things that this group of people are interested in. This is why we don't niche down to one topic. We niche down to about 3 to 5 related topics that our desired audience will be obsessed with, that they will be obsessed with. And we also can do these in terms of styles of videos and formats. And you'll have to excuse me. I'm an old man here drinking my warm tea, and I'm sitting here munching on my dried apricots and dried mangoes from the pantry. We'll get to live stream strategy and we'll get to short strategy. So once we build out our content pillars, and I'll give you an example of this so that you fully grasp what I'm talking about. Let's say I was a wildlife photographer. Let's say, for example, before we get into breaking down ideation using one of 10, let's start with building out content pillars, and I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm a wildlife photographer, and I specifically do wildlife photography. Okay, so how do I build content pillars and put myself in a unique position to be a destination channel? Because our goal here is to be a destination channel. Our goal is to be a one-of-one YouTube channel that is the only channel that you can go to get a specific experience that we're going to create. We're going to cover topics and things that other channels do, but eventually we cannot start out this way all the time. But our goal is to eventually become a one-of-a-kind creator that creates a unique and valuable experience, but we have to start with meeting the audience where they are. So if I'm a wildlife photography channel, it is possible to grow to 100,000 subscribers, even though portrait photography, model photography, maybe even product photography might theoretically be more popular, and wildlife photography is more expensive to get into. But there are more than 100,000 people that speak English who would want to watch a channel about that. So how would I build the beginnings of my content pillars for this channel? Well, first of all, I would start with a specific value proposition. I would tell my audience that my name is Roberto Blake. I'm a passionate wildlife photographer, and I'm here to make photography fun and simple. So here's what I'm doing differently. I'm a passionate wildlife photographer that's here to make photography fun and simple. How am I going to do that? I'm going to do that with easy to follow camera reviews and tutorials, and take you on real world photo shoots to capture wildlife. So that would be the way that I would be approaching this. So what are going to be my content pillars? My content pillars are going to be real world reviews of camera gear for the wildlife photographers, which means that would mean that if I review a camera lens and a camera body, instead of just reviewing that in my office, you will get a camera review that is shot on location while doing wildlife photography, birding, doing wildlife photography in a interesting location. So there's a travel and cinematography component involved in that content, which means now this is high effort content. And why is it going to be unique and one of one? This particular content pillar would have specific requirements. So when you make your content pillars, you have to say, here's this way that I'm making this content. Here are the requirements for this specific type of video that we're going to make. And we're going to make 10, 20, 50, 100 videos like this under this pillar, but this is how this one works. So that means for the real world camera reviews as a wildlife photographer, I'm going to say, okay, what makes me different is I'm on location shooting wildlife photography when I review a camera lens and showing you the shots that I got with that lens when I put it together in the edit. And that there's going to be some cinematic elements to this camera review that shows you what to look for in nature and wildlife when you're trying to get your shots, and gives you a sense that you are there, that gives you a sense that you're right there with me. So that would be something that establishes that content pillar. And that also sets me up to be a destination channel that does things a little bit differently. So that's how I'll do the camera lens and camera body reviews, real world reviews. Got it. So real world reviews of wildlife gear is a content pillar for that wildlife photography channel. Now, behind the scenes for the tutorials part, if I'm teaching you a tutorial about wildlife photography, again, we're going to shoot it outdoors. That's what would make that one unique. And they're going to be high quality. Those tutorials, since they are going to say, hey, we're making simple tutorials, every time we do them, we're taking a process and we will simplify it down to as few steps as possible. So we will have simple step-by-step tutorials. And again, they would be shot outdoors for the wildlife photographers and enthusiasts. So again, that makes it different. This makes it harder for the content to be duplicated by a competing photography channel because they'd have to go outdoors. And they even if they do, they won't have the same location that I would have doing that wildlife photography. So that still makes the channel have elements of uniqueness, even if people try to duplicate it. And again, you want to do this and you want to create about somewhere between 3, 5, or 6 different content pillars. So another one that we would end up doing is I'd have a content pillar where I'm going to literally teach somebody how to do wildlife photography in the real world. So I would be doing that. That's another more complicated video to make because you have to take another shooter now. And you also, to do this type of content, will have to have somebody help you and assist and hold the camera. So again, this elevates the level of challenge and difficulty in duplicating this content. So that's 3 out of 5 or 6 content pillars that I would do if I was doing a wildlife photography channel that would make it a little bit different and harder to compete with me. Think about, for your own niche, what are the standards and requirements to make 3, 5, or 6 content pillars. These can have 2 to 3 different types of styles to them that then also might be able to add a unique element of either your personality, your resources, your talent, or a quirk that can then make it stand out and make it more unique than your competitors, and also make it harder to duplicate. So that is a good foundation for something like this. It works in entertainment niches too, by the way. It works in entertainment niches too. Before I move in to how we qualify our video ideas to some degree, I'm going to tell you an example for an entertainment niche, because you won't forgive me otherwise if I only make it an education example. So if we're going to do this in, let's say, an entertainment niche, okay, if I wanted to make anime content, for example, I would say, okay, I'm going to make shonen anime reviews for hardcore fans. I want to repeat that. Instead of just doing, I'm an anime channel, I'm a Dragon Ball channel, I'm a One Piece channel. Instead of doing that, I'd go, no, I'm going to make anime content and reviews for hardcore anime fans. And I would probably, for my own sake, say, let me narrow this down to shonen content. And so the hardcore part of this, the hardcore fans part of this, is the extreme that we're going to go to. And so what would the way I would strategize my content pillars? I would probably say, okay, I'm going to do a series called Anime Kill Counts. So what am I going to do? I'm going to literally review shonen anime characters, and I'm going to tell you their kill counts for the entire series and show on the screen and go through the different episodes and stuff like that pretty much as quickly as possible. And it's going to be a long as hell video for many of these. And I'm going to show you like these anime characters kill counts. I can either focus on individual anime characters, or I could look at kill counts and compare the heroes and villains in a series. So you see how I get variety and dimensions even under this content pillar that, hey, I can do individual characters, rack up the amount of kills that happen across the entire series just for the anime, or I can do a heroes versus villains kill counter throughout a series or an episode. So like, instead of speculating on videos, that's a hardcore approach to saying, if someone's a hardcore anime fan, in their head, they might be thinking that one character might, like, who has more kills in Yu Yu Hakusho? Is it Hiei or is it Yusuke? Who has more kills? Who has more confirmed kills? Oh, let's do a counter. Let's find out. That would be an example, okay? Finding out and figuring out, the entire kill count in Gundam, like every confirmed kill in Gundam Seed, every confirmed kill in Gundam 00. That would be, and then, and having which Gundam has the highest kill count. And you could literally just do a counter and figure out across an individual Gundam series which one has that kill count. So that would be one pillar that gives me an infinite amount of content that I can make. I have problems generating ideas. This is a system that I call the infinite idea engine. That's something we teach on in Awesome Creator Academy. How do you build a functional system to generate infinite content ideas, Roberto? It starts with having content pillars. And then essentially, once you have the concept for a content pillar, the content literally generates and writes itself. Once you have about 3, 5, or 6 content pillars, you are not going to run out of content to make. So this is not going to be a problem for you to make 100 to 150 videos a year. Your biggest problem will be prioritizing which ones you want to make. I would suggest making the easiest ones you can first. So another example in the anime niche for this would be, doing a literal review, and it'd be an extremely long video of every duel in Yu-Gi-Oh, every fight in Dragon Ball, like literally an ongoing series where you literally react to every duel or react to every fight in an anime, every duel in Yu-Gi-Oh, every fight in Dragon Ball, every fight in the Dark Tournament in Yu Yu Hakusho. You literally would be doing that. And then so in every battle in blank anime. So you'd be doing every battle in this, every fight in One Piece. It'd be a long as hell video, but you would literally be doing a quick supercut reaction to every one of those. Okay. Then you would have, a ranking every character in blank. So you would do a ranking, you do a tier list ranking series. And this is a third pillar for every character in a specific anime. Ranking every admiral in One Piece, for example. Ranking every admiral in One Piece. Ranking every pirate crew in One Piece. Okay. Ranking every Uchiha in Naruto. So you would deal with that. Somebody's asking, what about copyright issues? You deal with that the way we'll do another series on copyright at some point. I'll even bring on a lawyer to talk about copyright again at some point. We're not going to worry about it. You'll deal with copyright the way YouTubers always deal with copyright, as best as you can. So this is just an example. I'm not going to do this for every single niche and give you your own individual strategy for every single niche in YouTube. If you want that, you can book a call with me. You can book a call with me and I'll tell you how to make this work for your niche or your channel if you want to do a one-on-one call with me. However, what I will say is that you should have a firm understanding of my concept around building individual content pillars that will produce you with nearly unlimited amounts of content. So now you cannot say that would be difficult for you to come up with 150 videos a year, because if you have about, let's say, 5 different content pillars, you're coming up with 30 video ideas per content pillar every single year. And if you get it right, they will write themselves. So what we're doing is we are reducing this to a game of strategy, and we are ruthlessly min-maxing this. We also want to play it somewhat like an MMORPG, and we want to max out our stats, which is kind of the next part of my agenda here. Is we're going to start maxing out our stats. So now this is where it gets interesting. So, okay, Roberto, those are really good ideas. So what do I do? Now, what we would do is something that's going to help us qualify our ideas, at least in a title and thumbnail manner, is we're going to use one of 10.com. I have an affiliate link for one of 10 in the description. They're not a sponsor, not yet. We're working on it. But what we're going to do is we want to look for videos that have 100,000 views in the last 90 days. And we want to use that to qualify some of our ideas. Why do we want to specifically look for videos that have done 100,000 views in the last 90 days? 90 days tells us that there's still interest and these ideas are still fresh and relevant to people. So that becomes important. The other thing that I think this helps with is if we got 1% or 10% of this outcome, it's still a very, very good outcome for us. Because if we get 1,000 views, we beat 88% of all the videos uploaded to YouTube if we get 1,000 views on our video. If we get 10,000 views on our video, we beat the overwhelming majority of videos on YouTube ever uploaded. And if we are converting between 1% and 3% of all the viewers of a video, if we can get videos to 1,000 views, the goal would be to get 10 to 30 subscribers out of that video. If we get to 10,000, then the goal would be to get 100 to 300 subscribers out of that video if we get 10,000 views. So this is going to be our qualifier and what helps us, because if we make 150 videos every year, and if we can get 100 to 300 subscribers out of that, then every year we can grow our channel by at least initially 15,000 to 30,000 subscribers. In the worst case, if it's your first year on YouTube and you're starting with nothing, this will at least get you over the hump of monetization and get you to either 1,000 to 10,000 subscribers the first year, while you get much better at this, which will mostly come down to refining your titles, refining your thumbnails, your topics, getting timing correct, and getting better at editing, presentation, and converting viewers to subscribers. In the first year, no one is typically good at YouTube. Your first 100 videos are going to be your worst 100 videos that you've ever made. That's why I say make 100 crappy videos and get over yourself. It's very important to use those videos as the building blocks to improve. Use those videos as the building blocks to improve. Even PewDiePie's first 100 videos only got him to 2,500 subscribers. Mr. Beast, first 460 videos is what it took for him to just get to 10,000 subscribers. This strategy will make that a lot less painful for all of you, but you would have to commit to it. So we're looking for videos that are at least 8 minutes long. The reason is this is going to help us get monetized. And then when we do get monetized, we'll be able to at least put 1 or 2 mid-rolls in here and make some money. We're going to use that money and help grow our channel and we're going to also put most of it in the bank. We're not going to improve our lifestyle because, let's face it, what you really need to do is improve your content to make more money. You also need to pay down debt, because the two things that will make it easier to leave your 9-to-5 job is investing money in what makes it faster to make videos that can make you money, and paying down debt that holds you back and ties you to your 9-to-5 job with fear. And once you pay off debt, getting savings and emergency savings so that it's easier to justify leaving the job. So there is a thing. How to use this for the personal development niche. I'm not going to go through how to use this for every single niche in YouTube. You will have to apply it to yourself. If you want me to help you with it, I have a group coaching program that you can join, Awesome Creator Academy Pro Group, and you can ask me and the group members anything, or you can work with me one-on-one. If I'm going to give you advice for $0, it is going to be advice that everyone can try to benefit from and help themselves. This is public school education. If you want private after school tutoring, it's extra. This is public school education. If it's free, it's public school. If you want a private tutor, you buy a private tutor. And that's no offense to anybody. I'm just making a point here. So what we will do is, once we've locked this in for our over 8 minutes duration, and we want any channel between 900 subscribers and 3 million subscribers. We don't want the unicorns of YouTube with 10 million because that's obvious. We're going to at least be able to figure out that with 1 of 10. So these are the settings that we're using for our filters. Now you could start, and again, I don't recommend this as much for gaming channels because you're going to hate playing video games by the time we're done. Vloggers, you're not going to like this one, but I'm just kind of making a point. It can work in these niches. I'm not saying it can't. I'm saying it's soul sucking to just turn it into a strategy like this. So here's the thing. For example, we now have examples in the gardening niche from a variety of channels with different subscriber counts, and they don't even have to have 100,000 subscribers for us to see what is resonating. So we see the quality of thumbnails and titles that are getting views in the gardening niche. We could get much more specific with this, and we could go into very specific things we would want to cover. But if I were going to start picking out videos for Cassandra, for example, and say, hey, what can we do that could bring in even more views, even though her channel is doing very, very well. Her channel is doing great. If we want to do something, then double down on her most popular videos of all time. And again, this is Cassandra. She's one of my students in Awesome Creator Academy. She's in our Academy Pro group. If we wanted to do something in the niche of gardening, food, and homesteading, other than what she's already doing, we could look for inspiration in 1 of 10 and look only for content that has 100,000 views or more and is over 8 minutes for monetization purposes. So when I see this one, this is interesting. Top 10 handy gardening inventions you can create at home. I have a way to reverse engineer this. 15 handy gardening hacks for your homestead would probably do really well for her. 15 handy gardening hacks. That would probably do well. 15 handy gardening hacks for your homestead would probably do very good on Cassandra's channel. So I would say that would be a really good one for her. Looking at some of these other channels, she could definitely do something like this. Since this is 200 days of bushwalking, building off the grid, she could probably do a video and plan a long form video around 100 days of container gardening. And people would really probably gravitate toward that. And that could be a huge hit. And the thing is, she could set it up to where it's 100 days of container gardening, and she can show the results of what you can do with container gardening for your homestead. Then 200 days of container gardening, 300 days of container gardening. If she does it right, she could keep that as an ongoing series and keep showing results. 500 days of container gardening, 600 days of container gardening, which is close to 2 years at mark. And then, if she keeps going with it, because again, the idea of homesteading and staying off the grid is you're doing it forever. Like, imagine that video, 1,000 days of container gardening, and the fact that over the time she would have had things, maybe even some time lapse footage. It'd be an extraordinarily high effort series to produce, but it is an idea that we can get from the proof of concept here in 1 of 10 with the parameters that we set for a gardening channel. So that is just an idea. Now, if I wanted to use my same parameters and I put something in and I picked a specific anime like One Piece, for example, I can now try and find content that did over 100,000 views in One Piece in under 90 days. And I could go ahead and I could get ideas based on that of something that you can do other than chapter reviews and spoilers. So look at this. The best battle in One Piece, 4 emperors, the 4 emperors. Okay, so the best battle in One Piece, this is a video that in 2 months got over 130,000 views on a 79 subscriber channel. I could literally turn best battle in One Piece into best battles in One Piece and then start doing reaction review compilations with a comedy slant and some parody involved. And I could go ahead and I could take inspiration from CJ the Champ and then go, okay, best battles in One Piece, most savage battles in One Piece, episode 4, most savage battles in One Piece, part 5, most savage beatdowns in One Piece, part 7. Do you see what I'm doing here? You can literally make infinite content if you find one good qualified idea. And those of you in the chat who are anime nerds know bloody well that you would watch these ideas that I'm spouting right now. All of you would watch most savage beatdowns in One Piece part 7. You would watch best battles in One Piece parts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You would watch those. You would absolutely watch somebody. And now it's not just generic reviews. It's not just generic reaction videos. And then if you add the elements of parody and satire onto it, it is a winning formula. This can then be applied if you're an anime channel that covers shonen anime. You can apply that same formula and you can get daily content with this formula by just picking an entire group of different shonen animes to do that in. And you could also do a more generic version that covers multiple different animes all at once. And then you would have Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto, Baki. You could have Haji no Ippo. You could have Overlord. You could have any number of So you could easily do that. You could go the opposite route with slice of life, and you could go another route. If you were doing slice of life content, you could literally do most toxic couples in anime, part 6. See there? Like, you could literally, like, that's a completely different hook going in the opposite. Most toxic couples in anime? Like, whoa, click. Easy one. If you're an animator, easy one. Best harems in anime, best couples in anime, best girls in anime, part 6. Like, there's any number of ways you could go with that, and you could qualify whether or not it's something people would watch. Most tragic moments in anime, and do reaction compilations with parody to that. Saddest moments in like there's, so again, you literally can build an infinite content engine qualifying your ideas as long as they have 100,000 views, as long as there's some inspiration for the ideation component and you can qualify and say 100,000 views. You also get to see what quality of thumbnail in your niche and for these ideas was clickable to the degree of getting 100,000 views. So now you have a standard for what a good thumbnail is, and you don't have to guess, assume, or go off of your own instincts. You have data to prove what a good quality thumbnail is. And you can filter this by channels that don't necessarily have the biggest subscribers to be able to figure out, okay, can the video idea carry it by itself? So you can change your filters on the subscriber count of the channels in 1 of 10. And this is why it's a very useful tool. So that's something you can do. Joe's phenomenal. Wow, Roberto's brand deal starter kit bundle is on his website. It's a fantastic value. I thought it was going to be way more expensive. Yeah, and we have a link with a coupon right now in the description. That coupon is probably going to expire in a couple of weeks. So you should get that coupon for the brand deal starter kit right now. It's going to expire in a couple of weeks, so you can get a big discount on it. You also can get a link. Use my affiliate link for 1 of 10 and go ahead and sign up for that because, again, this is going to help you with ideation. So that's an example of how we can get inspiration for our channels. Someone asked about personal development, self-improvement. So if I went to men's self-improvement, you could literally take inspiration from some of this, and this could be very good in terms of knowing what the thumbnails are that are going to work and the style of thumbnails in this particular niche. Self-improvement. Let's talk about let's try men's personal development to see if we get different ones from this. So again, some of these are very similar. So what I would do is then I would say, okay, I'm going to make much better thumbnails than the overwhelming majority of these. And I'm going to look for what they have in common. And I'm going to look for topic ideas. So one of these that stands out is this one, the art of emotional control. That's a really good one. And it's definitely an important topic. But can a channel carry that without 1 million subscribers? Maybe not. A lot of these tend to be more interviews. So what I would do is then I would start thinking differently about this. If that doesn't work, what's a component of things like emotional control? Another word for emotional control, we could also use a thesaurus to help us with YouTube, is the word stoicism. So I would look up videos on stoicism that have 100,000 views. So now we see that here's a channel that talks about stoicism and has 50,000 subscribers, 100,000 views on this video, normally gets 12K views on average. So it talks about 13 ways to recognize envy and falsehood in others. That's incredibly important. That's a great topic. So why wouldn't I go and look at more of what's on that channel and think about, okay, what are other things I can do to teach men about the world around them that would help them self-improve by understanding the nature of other human beings? And maybe that's the direction that you would go in with the channel on self-improvement. And you can qualify the ideas and see what ideas are 100K view ideas. If you still fell short, you could still get 10% of the outcome and it's 10,000 views. If you're not getting 10,000 views, then maybe, just maybe, this would be better than if you didn't go that way. Like, there's a lot of opportunity here. Now, again, you could filter for channels that have smaller subscriber counts if you want this to go further, or if you want it to be a little bit more successful. So if we go and we change our filters, let's go ahead and change our filters down to channels that only have about 100,000 subscribers and see what we get in terms of results. So if we filter down to channels that have 100,000 subscribers or less, look at this. There's a channel here with 18 subs, and it's about male self-improvement. So what would my strategy become? I would say that if no one knows who I am and I want to do a men's self-improvement channel, that what I would probably do is I would use strong masculine figures that are recognizable as household names. So what I would probably do, and this is me because we're going to get into thumbnail strategy here in a second. I'm going to teach you more about thumbnail strategy. So what would I do? I would sit there and I would think to myself, I have to make 150 videos this year, or I have to even make daily content. You know what? I'm going to use as the image for the thing that I'm going to talk about men that other men would immediately recognize, respect, and admire. So I'm going to pick a rogues gallery of about 50 of the strongest, most intelligent, most successful, most masculine men in the world that people will already immediately recognize and respect. So I'm probably going to pick, looking at this, I'm going to go, okay, Denzel Washington, you're up. Robert Downey Jr., you're up. You know, Chris Hemsworth, you're up. Tony Robbins, you're up as a charismatic speaker. In terms of hard work, Kobe Bryant, hard work and determination, you're up. Likability, Shaquille O'Neal, you're up. And what I'd probably do is I would make a list of traits that a lot of these men embody. And I would think about traits they embody, things that make them respectable and enviable. And then I would also think about outcomes that other men want. I would think about emotional triggers. And then I would be formulating my thumbnails to utilize these words. And I would probably use ambition versus anxiety framing in my titles and in the words I use in my thumbnails. So I might even use a push and pull strategy. I might use an anxiety trigger in my title and an ambition trigger as the word in my thumbnail. And now I'm contrasting the emotion that I'm creating, and I will reach you with one of the two things, but I'll also create tension. Tension creates emotional investment. Tension creates something that compels us to click. So I will utilize psychology. I'm leveraging familiarity bias by using a household name. I'm using familiarity bias. I'm also going to leverage the concept of the envy of others by putting somebody that you recognize, but also is in an enviable position to compare to your own. Somebody who's richer, more handsome, more accomplished. I'm going to go ahead and create that tension of the gap between you and them and use that as a psychology frame. This will work outside of self-development content, by the way. This will work in other things as well. Using this method. So we would use psychology. This is why I said this is brutally honest, ruthless YouTube strategy. We are going to just say, hey, here's what works and why. And so I would be doing that. So I'd be making thumbnails like that. What do I mean by ambition versus anxiety framing? I present to you two things, like the Sith Lord that I am. I will present to you what you crave, and I will also simultaneously present to you what you fear. Now, I'm going to do this in a non-malicious, non-manipulative way. I'm going to create tension, and then the goal of my video personally, if I were doing this, would be to relieve the tension that was there, because I don't think I'm creating tension. I think I'm acknowledging tension you already have built up inside of you. And then I might be slightly amplifying it with a title and thumbnail, but by the time you get a third into my video, you should be feeling relief because someone acknowledged your issue and then addressed your issue and then gave you actionable advice. That would be how true self-help would work. But again, I'm going to start like a Sith and end like a Jedi. You know, I'm going to start like a Sith and end like a Jedi, just like Anakin Skywalker. So the thing that I feel would work in something like this, and I'm going to just show you guys what a Star Wars nerd I am. So Darth Bane created the rule of two, and there's a very interesting thing he says in his in the first book of this, where he's cultivating his apprentice, and he has an interesting motto. He says, "Tell me what you crave so I know what to deny you. Tell me what you fear so I know what you have to face. Tell me what you cherish most so I can take it from you." Now that's dark and that's cold. But what that tells me is it speaks to the nature of humanity. It speaks to the nature of humanity. So the thing is, if you know what somebody fears to lose, that's an anxiety trigger that tells you that if you want somebody to listen to you, tell them how to keep what they already have and how to protect against that. Also acknowledge the real threats that exist that they deep down know are real and are lurking out there. So you're acknowledging their fear, and then you're telling them how to face their fears and overcome them. In terms of what people are afraid to face, you should go ahead and put that front of center and say, hey, no, there are things lurking in the dark. The night is cold and full of terrors, but here's the thing. We can do something about it. Here's what we can do. So I call this framework problem, process, payoff. I'm going to acknowledge that a problem exists. I'm going to address it with a simple process. And if we take action, we have earned a payoff and a reward. Yeah, count up. You can't watch that in Star Wars with regard to Darth Bane. You have to read the Darth Bane trilogy in the books. Someone may have performed it as a radio drama on YouTube, so you could also look for it there and see if someone performed it as a radio drama. If not, I will probably consider doing that whenever I get around to my faceless Star Wars channel. So again, I would, in a motivational or self-help type of channel, I would acknowledge what people are desperately concerned with, what keeps them up at night, what gives them anxiety. I would acknowledge that thing, but I would also teach them how to take action and how to confront those things. And that's the anxiety versus ambition framing that I teach in Awesome Creator Academy, is that you create tension, but you also relieve tension. And again, you're not really creating the tension. It's amplifying the tension that already exists because you're acknowledging something that is already real to the person that you're trying to help. So that's what you would be doing. And that's why it'd be positive, because now what they feel is you always are confronting and acknowledging their real, genuine concerns, but they feel better whenever they watch you about those things, and they feel more empowered to do it because someone acknowledged their struggles. And for a lot of men in the men's development space, the thing is no one's acknowledging the struggles. So if you acknowledge the struggles, there was someone earlier who was asking about, well, what would you do for a men's personal development channel? I said, yeah, technically, just do a one-on-one call with me because I'm not going to do every single niche that ever exists, right? But what I would say is, because I do like the topic, is you have to acknowledge an underserved audience's needs, concerns, fears, and desires. Most people do not. So if you acknowledge people's issues, which most people do not, certainly not most politicians, I'm not going to go there, but still, and then you say, no, those things are real, and I understand that they're very real and that you're experiencing them. So now let's address those things. So again, you acknowledge the problem. You then address the problem by looking at a process by which someone can make a transformation. And then you tell them how to take a very specific action so that they will feel like they've earned the payoff. So again, what I teach is problem, process, payoff. This is like the hero's journey. And if you were doing entertainment content, you always, of course, in storytelling, here is the call to adventure. So here is Gandalf the Grey saying we got to go and dump the ring of power in the fires of Mount Mordor, from which it came. Here's the conflict. So we have the call to adventure, and here's the conflict. Here's the process that we go through. Here's the battle at Isengard. Here is the breaking up of the fellowship. Here are the ring wraiths. Here's this thing. And then here's the epic final conclusion. Does the Dark Lord return and vanquish the light? Or does the hero triumph through sacrifice, struggle, hardship, and ultimately win the day? So in the hero's journey, philosophy espoused by Joseph Campbell with regard to writing and storytelling, that's still used today by content creators, filmmakers, authors. What you would do is Joseph Campbell's hero's journey dictates that there is a call to adventure, then there's conflict and struggle, and then there's a conclusion. There's an ending that resolves the conflict and bookends everything. So that's the direction that we would ultimately be going in if we were going to, apply this. Now, the thing I will say is my strategies, and we're going to go more into the philosophy around the ruthless content strategy here in a minute. When it comes to, I know people always like to ask me about gaming. There is a different methodology that I use for gaming because, again, most of you, my strategy is not going, it would theoretically work, but for a lot of you, for gaming, even though I'm using game theory for this, if you need to enjoy doing gaming and gaming is an escape, outlet, and hobby for you that makes you feel better about your 9-to-5 job, you will not want to use my strategy because it will take most of the fun, enjoyment, and it will take most of the relief and release that you get out of gaming. You will not enjoy it. I will literally turn it into a job, and then you might not like it anymore. So I do not recommend this strategy for gamers. I have other advanced strategies that would work for gamers. You could use this. I'm not recommending it for your mental health if you're a gamer. I'm not recommending it for your mental health if you're a musician. And I'm not going to recommend it if you're an art person. And the reason is because we're about to move to my next rule set. My next rule set for this strategy is this. We are going to upload 150 videos per year, or we're going to go daily in that niche for that one audience that we decide that we care about, that we identified with psychology. Then the thing that we're going to do, and this is what is going to absolutely crush a lot of you, is we will never upload a video that is not for that audience. We will never upload a video that is not for that audience. We will not upload a video because we want to, we're passionate. We will not ever upload a video for an emotionally driven reason. We will only upload a video that we 100% believe is for our audience, and we will upload a video after we have qualified how that topic, title, and thumbnail work, and has there been content that got 100,000 views that is similar to the idea that we have. A video has to be similar to the video idea that we have, and it has to have gotten 100,000 views in the last 90 days, or at least in the last 6 months, or we do not upload that type of content, and we keep coming up with ideas until we do. And that is why, if you enjoy gaming, you're a passionate artist, you're a musician who wants to make original music, I do not recommend my strategy because it will kill your enjoyment and it will kill your passion, and you will probably burn out and you won't like it even if you succeed. So if one of your most important things is having fun at YouTube and having a freedom of expression and an outlet, my strategy is not going to work for you because you are not going to have your heart in it. My strategy is for the head. It is good for the head. It is good for the bank account. It is not good for the heart if this is something where you have to have fun. Data Ray says, so if I have a channel about an analytical topic that I love, should I not follow this either? If it is an analytical topic, this may not be harmful to your mental health in any way, shape, or form because you're already over-analyzing things. In fact, if you have an analytical topic, I would brand your content as literally over-analyzing blank. Over-analyzing blank. Now, the thing with over-analyzing a specific thing is that the way you're going to qualify the 100,000 views is going to be a little bit more open-ended and broad, and I might have some leniency on how you approach qualifying your idea. You will want to find the thumbnails, obviously, that have the most views around your theoretical idea. But if your thing is analyzing blank, then the way you're going to qualify the views will be more broad in terms of qualifying interest in the thing. So you have to be a little bit more thoughtful about what you're putting in to your research, okay, to qualify that there's 100,000 views to be found, because you won't be able to find that if you're typing in literally analyzing this, analyzing that. You won't find it. So again, I'll give you a primary example. If I was like, I'm going to be really, really analytical about the anime Death Note, then you're not going to type analyzing Death Note into the research. You're just going to type in Death Note, and you might look at doing it with both spellings where it's either one word or both words. So that's something that you might do. I wonder if the quotation marks will work where it has to be explicitly this. For some reason, it's giving me a problem here, and it might be my filters for this one, but yeah. So the thing is, you can be a little bit more broad if your thing is very analytical about a specific subject matter. Yeah, I do think that learning persuasion, persuasive speech, NLP, neurolinguistic programming, and I also think learning the art of writing headlines and copywriting would be very helpful for people. So again, so here are some basic tenets. 1, you're also not allowed to upload a video if you have not made 3 thumbnail concepts for the video. You have to design 3 thumbnail concepts for the video. So that's one of the rules. You don't upload a video unless you have 3 thumbnails for it, and they should be unique enough. So that's going to be the key, because you want to have the option of switching the thumbnails if it starts to underperform in click-through rate for any reason, or if it's like, okay, that's not getting traction in the first 24 or 72 hours. Let me swap it out. Let me see what else I got. So you want to be doing that. The other thing is you need specifically to also get the title down to a 3rd to 5th grade reading level. So the title has to be a 3rd to 5th grade reading level, and you have to have 3 thumbnails on deck for the video. This is going to require some extra work and some extra prep time when it comes to making your videos. Extra work, extra prep time. That's why we have to pare this down and be as ruthless and as efficient as possible. We have to be wildly efficient. So again, 3 YouTube thumbnails. This is not something that everyone's going to say. 3 YouTube thumbnails, but also the title has to be able to pass a 3rd to 5th grade reading level. So you're going to either want to use a readability score website or ask ChatGPT. How do you feel about batch uploading? If you're not a news channel, you probably shouldn't do batch uploading. And if you do, it's not that you should batch release or batch publish. If you do it in a day, you stagger it and you set a release schedule. You do no more than 3 if it's a main channel to take advantage of YouTube notifications, unless you're a huge channel like Tim Pool, for example, or the Young Turks or the Daily Wire. So then you could do that. Otherwise, stick to 2 or less in a day. I only recommend that for news style channels. Maybe commentary channels if there's breaking news, but other than that, no, not unless you're doing YouTube Shorts. Different strategy for YouTube Shorts creators. We're talking long form. So here's another rule. Again, generally speaking, this is unhealthy for people doing the following niches: let's play gaming, vlogging, pranks, generic reaction videos, original music, artwork, and DIY and crafting. I'm not saying you can't do this. I'm saying most of you, it will not be mentally healthy because of what I'm asking. So remember, we're committing to doing 150 videos a year or making daily content. That's a big demand on you. So that is 3 videos a week or you're doing daily, that is a big deal. You're also making 3 thumbnails for every single YouTube video, and you have to refine your titles to where they have a 3rd to 5th grade reading level. This is to optimize the click-through rate to be higher and to appeal within our audience avatar as easily as possible and create the least amount of friction for them to click on our video. To research our thumbnails, we're going to use oneof10.com, and we're going to try to qualify our idea and find videos that have 100,000 views in either 90 days or 6 months. No more than that. 90 days to 6 months, 100,000 views, ideally for channels that are the same size as ours or smaller, or at least 100,000 subscribers. If you're a small creator, shoot and try to aim at the level of a 100K channel that is doing that. So that's kind of our minimum requirement. So we want to do that. Now, for the thumbnails, you want to meet or exceed the standard of the things getting 100,000 views in your niche, your topic, or your audience. Moses the Younger asked, for the thumbnails, Roberto, with text, should we change the background image or with the same text, or different different backgrounds and text? I would make the thumbnails as different as possible while still honoring what the video is. I would try to make them as unique as possible. And this doesn't mean that the elements have to be all unique. It could mean that what you experiment with is, unless there's a branding reason to use the colors, you might go with different colors. Or what you might do is say, let me try a layout that might focus more on the right. Let me try a more left focused layout. Let me try a center layout. Or let me try a layout that uses text. Let me try one that doesn't use text. And then let me use one that is completely different than the other 2. So that could be an example. Gen X Memories. The advice is great, but he really needs to lay off the eating and drinking while he's working. It's such a turnoff. Can't help it on a late night stream. It's past my bedtime, and this was impromptu. So, I'm sorry. It's an impromptu stream, and it's past my bedtime. How do you feel about content curation channels, Content Hub for related topics? It depends on what your overall goals and approach are to it. It's not going to be something I can dive too much into in today's stream. So here's the other thing. And don't worry, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Some people have, what is it called? Tinnitus, and they're hypersensitive to sound, or they have the disgust reflex to people eating, drinking, chewing, or swallowing. So it's to each their own on that. So I'm not mad at anybody. Don't pick on anybody who just happens to have that issue. It's whatever. I'm a big boy. I can take criticism. So here's the next thing we're going to do. We have to commit to the idea that whatever we're doing, and this is going to be the one that's really hard for most of you, we have to do this for 3 to 5 years, and we got to commit to making essentially 1,000 videos. We got to commit to making 1,000 videos. So that's the rough part. It's 1,000 videos. Now, here's the good news. If over the course of your creator career, there'll probably be some outlier videos that do extremely, extremely well. If I want to do the most professional videos ever, I'm going to edit them, because then I can edit out all of my mistakes. If I'm going to do a live stream at midnight, you're going to get a raw, unfiltered, imperfect version of me if you're going to get a midnight live stream. If I'm going to do a perfect video that's going to be perfectly polished and perfectly professional, I'm literally going to edit myself to perfection, and you won't see an imperfection. It's going to be edited. If I have to be unedited, you're going to get the same version of me that you would get if you were in real life in my presence, which probably will not be perfect. And I don't think it's the biggest deal. Now, if you do decide that you're going to do a one-on-one call with me, I'm not going to eat during a one-on-one call. But if it's 11:30 at night on a Tuesday, you're not going to get a perfect version of me. It's going to be enough that I'm not half asleep and wearing a do-rag. That being said, going back to what I was saying, we're going to commit to 1,000 videos over the course of 3 to 5 years. And I'm going to show you something in terms of analytics to kind of drive a little bit of this home. So I'm going to switch screens from 1 to 10, and we're going to go to the channel analytics. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to make this bigger than me. So long term, this tends to work, and I'm going to show you something in YouTube advanced mode. So there's a way to, in advanced mode, go to yearly, and we're going to filter by date. And then we're also going to use a secondary metric of videos published. Nope, we're going to have to use videos added. We're going to have to use videos added. So videos added by date. And you're going to ignore this thing that says 1,500, because what happened in 2018 is all of my videos in a YouTube glitch. A YouTube glitch happened where all my videos got unlisted or privated, and then we're able to come back. So we're going to ignore that. And what we're going to do is we're going to go with subscribers here. So what we're going to do and what you're going to understand, and again, ignore 2018. I did not publish 1,500 videos in 2018. Is we're going to look at the correlation between the number of videos published in a year and the number of subscribers. And for me, it basically comes down to whenever I did more uploads, I tended to gain more subscribers. And whenever I did less uploads, I tended to gain the least subscribers. Now, again, I didn't really have an audience in the olden days when I first started my channel, because I wasn't really uploading content. That's why it doesn't even really count my content, because I'm like, hey, you didn't really upload any videos, guy. You upload like 1 or 2 videos a year, guy. What are you doing? So when I started taking this seriously in Q3, end of July, August of 2013 is when I started uploading videos. 26 videos, first 1,000 subscribers, kept going, publishing one video a week. I had less than 100 videos in my case. Really weird. I was able to get to 11,000 new subscribers in that year with 45 videos. They were evergreen. Nothing went viral. Nothing really took off like that. It was just evergreen. Then, this is so far. Let me go in date in order. Let me go by date order instead of subscriber order, because the story will make more sense. So, okay, here is me not uploading at all at the beginning of my YouTube journey. Here is 2014. I grew by a significant number of subscribers. Here's where I start uploading daily content. And I grow by 50,000 more subscribers in a year. And this is, by the way, this is additional subscribers year over year. So I upload nearly daily content. I grow. I upload daily content. I grow. I keep going daily. I keep growing. This is where YouTube unpublishes all my videos, and then it publishes them again. So by the time I had 1,500 videos, I had well over 300,000, 350,000 subscribers. Keep going, and then I keep going. Now, as we start to get to the COVID years, I fall off in the COVID years because I get really depressed and I don't upload as many videos anymore. And you can see the impact that it ends up having on the channel. The channel grows in proportion to how many uploads I did year over year. So the brute force method of quantity does work because it's more videos to have more opportunities to grow more content, more subscribers, more ad revenue, more views, more opportunity. So that's ultimately what worked. Now, the other thing that happened is this. Year over year, the number of additional views every year as I uploaded more often tended to go up. So that is something that is also notable, and it just gives you more and more opportunities. The other thing is when it's evergreen content, this compounds on top of itself. And so the growth and the growth conversion can compound if the content is evergreen enough. So the minimum threshold for really good growth for my channel is about 100 uploads in a year. But for optimal growth, I found out that it's around 150 to 200 for me. Now, also, this was during a learning curve for me of learning to do everything better in YouTube. And this is also for help content. If you apply this in a broader niche that has a bigger diehard audience that will watch everything instead of just watching a video that helps them when it helps them, then this actually can be a lot more for you in those niches. So that means that if this got me to 600,000 subscribers, then someone with a broader appeal niche than me probably could use it and get to 1 million subscribers. So that would be the ultimate outcome. But it does come from publishing an extreme volume of content consistently over a period of time. So the thing is, effort over time, if it compounds, grows exponentially, and it does build on top of itself, and it becomes an unstoppable juggernaut on a long enough timeline, because then you have all these evergreen videos working on your behalf. So the brute force strategy here is a real strategy, but the thing I didn't do is I didn't refine it to perfection. For one thing, we did not have ABC thumbnail testing when I was a small YouTuber and I was growing. We didn't even have it when I was a mid-tier YouTuber. We didn't even have it. We didn't even have the YouTube Studio mobile app until 2018. So that means I had to go all the way from 2013 to 2018, and we never had a YouTube Studio mobile app. We also didn't have click-through rates on YouTube videos until 2017. We never had the click-through rate data until 2017. Most of what you see in YouTube analytics wasn't invented until 2020. Most of what you see today in YouTube analytics wasn't invented in 2020, and they've radically changed it in the last 2 years with a lot more of the data that they give us. So most of this data was never available during most of my YouTube career. So it's possible now to use this even more strategically and aggressively. They also didn't have a lot of the tools like 1 of 10 and so on and so forth. So this would be a huge advantage. And again, A/B thumbnail testing, as far as ABC thumbnail testing in YouTube, did not exist. So you didn't have that opportunity either. You didn't have the ability to use ChatGPT to help you with your titles and get them down to like a 3rd or 5th grade reading level. Much, much more difficult back then. So now you have a lot more tools and a lot more opportunity to make this work. And like I said, I know that extremes in volume and value and packaging correctly work even better on channels that don't have a narrow niche subject matter like mine. You know, that's the thing here. So I want you to understand that more of you actually have probably more potential than even my channel does. And that there are things I've done there imperfectly. If I'd been able to consistently keep up an output of content, I'd be at 1 million subscribers already, because all I would have had to do is somehow, some way have the mental health fortitude to maintain at least 100 to 150 videos during the pandemic. And that would have been 100,000 subscribers a year. If I even maintained 100 videos, and let's say it was, 50,000 additional subscribers every single year during the pandemic, then that would have been 10, 20, another 20, so 30, 50, another 40. So about at least, I'd be at least, if I had done nothing else except been able to maintain at least a 100 video output during the pandemic. So 30 and 30 on top of what I have, plus another 20, plus another 30, 20, 20, 30, 30. At least, that would probably put me at least 750, if not 800,000 subscribers or more at a minimum. So 800,000 to 1 million subscribers if I had been able to maintain momentum during the pandemic. If I had been able to maintain an output of 150, then it means that during the pandemic years, you could go, so let's see, that'd be 30, 60, 70. So that's 160 there, another 70. So 70, that's 230 plus 80, 230 plus 80. So that's another 300. So yeah, about another 300,000. So yeah, almost 1 million subscribers if I had been able to do that. So that would be the thing about maintaining momentum. I did okay for momentum for as long as I've been doing it. But again, I actually reached the milestones that I wanted, which was 100,000 and 500,000. Everything for me is extra after that because my goal is not necessarily 1 million subscribers. It might be for some of you. But in the meantime, the main focus I have is at least saying, how can I get you to 100,000? So when it comes down to that, and it comes down to the narrow focus that I have for qualifying videos and using these filtering mechanisms and saying, how can we ultimately find, outliers that could allow us to grow our YouTube channels? What we're really looking for is we're looking for channels that are capable in 90 days to 6 months of getting 100,000 views on a video for a video similar to our niche. So if I look into something like ASMR, and this is a little different than beyond going, because there's another part of this where we have to think about now, how do we become a unique destination channel? But in ASMR, we can qualify videos that have at least 100,000 views on them over a period of time. If I want to make this more aggressive, the way that I'm going to filter is, what if I ask for channels that did it, but again, have less than 100,000 subscribers? What if I ask for channels that did it that have 5K to 50K subscribers? Okay, so now I have low subscriber count for this, and okay, you're getting at least twice as many views as you have subscribers. So look at this. ASMR fabric scratching, 16,000 subscriber channel, 130,000 views. So this is how I would qualify whether something's a good idea. Whisper rambling ASMR, you could make a multi-part series on this, and instead of saying, oh, I'll make another 20-minute video like this, you could go with Whisper rambling ASMR and make it a 8 to 10 hour long version of that, and people could use it to fall asleep. And instead of getting 100,000 views, maybe that would get 1 million views. So that would be an answer. And again, you could look at, so it's beyond optimizing these around saying just the titles. It's about, what if I make a longer version of this video, if it makes sense, and then I get even more watch time, which makes this help YouTube, because what's YouTube's goal? Watch time, keeping people on YouTube longer. So what if I took somebody's video and I made a more extreme version of that video? So if a 20-minute video was able to accomplish this, what would an hour-long version do? What would an 8-hour version do? What would a 10-hour version do? And so what would be the target? The target in my case would be, okay, what if you were making ASMR videos specifically targeted at people who use ASMR to sleep or to relax or for anxiety? So I would then just reframe those type of videos. If I see here, oh, here's soothing water ambience ASMR, and this worked, and this is a 3-hour version of something. What if I go ahead and I find a space and I do this and I set up something where I can do a loop or something of this and say, okay, what if I make this a 10-hour version that people can sleep to? What if I do multiple videos like this and I figure out, okay, there's a naturescape aspect to ASMR. This channel has 7,000 subscribers. It has 200,000 views on this particular video, you could literally say, how can I go and find outdoor places where I can maximize on this type of thing and make these cinematic ASMR videos. So I would then make cinematic ASMR videos for relaxation in a nature niche. Now, the difference is I'd go, okay, how do I do that though and put out 3 videos a week, Roberto? Well, I'm going to tell you how. What you would do in that situation is you would actually make the most out of the content and footage you have. So in a situation like that with ASMR, what the strategy would be to get the 3 videos a week, which is the hard part for a lot of you, even after coming up with a good idea, is we're going to make this something we can manufacture. So the thing is, I would probably say, okay, I'm going to take an outdoor ASMR video, and I'm going to make a 1-hour version of this, and then but I'm going to film, maybe I film more than 1 hour. Maybe I literally sit there and I let it film for 3 hours or something. But what if I then take that and I cut that down to a 1-hour version of itself, and I have that? Maybe I even time lapse 3 hours and make 3 hours into 1 hour for that. Then I do a real-time version that's 3 hours. And then what if I have a 10-hour version for the people who's going to use this to sleep? I don't have to release this all at once. I can release those in brackets and intervals. But if I do and film multiple locations, every location I filmed of 3 or 4 locations has a 1 hour, a 3 hour, a 6 hour, and a 10-hour version. So now if I have to fill up a month, I can go ahead and I could stagger these videos and release these different lengths of them by using the right editing approach. And then I have these locations and I have that, and that's another way to approach it. If I go and I do a camping trip to get these done, I can set up multiple locations in one place. I could even do a night version of some of these if I have the right equipment. And then, okay, each place and location, I can get multiple videos of it that way. So if I have someone helping me, we could even probably go and each do a camera a piece, or even set up 2 camera angles. And then we quite literally are killing 2 birds with 1 stone if we have the equipment to be able to do the 2 camera angles. Now, this is the kind of thing that technically, if you have a good microphone for the ASMR component or the audio component, a good microphone or microphone system set up even with a phone as the video part that is set up with obviously in this case, you want to do something like airplane mode and no notifications and all that stuff set up on a mini tripod, but then you want to plug it into a very good microphone for the ASMR component. You could do that if you want to use a phone, or you could use a real camera if you want to make it much more cinematic, so on and so forth. So you could do all of those things. That would go a long way. Another gimmick that would work for this if you're going to do nature time lapses, nature ASMR, or cinematic nature videos, I have the ultimate hack for you to make it a little bit more unique and interesting. If you learn a little bit of cinematography and you spend $160 and you get the Rhino slider. So if you get the Rhino slider, I'm going to link to all my gear recommendations, by the way. You can use my Amazon affiliate links. It's kit.co/Roberto Blake. I'm going to link to it. So gear recommendations, I'm going to drop that in the chat. Recommendations. That's going to be kit.co/Roberto Blake. And then it will give you my Amazon links and gear. So that's in the chat for you. So for ASMR, you're going to use a slider. Slider is going to go ahead and you can control it with a setup in terms of using an app on your phone to control the intervals of this. And it will sit there and it will slide back and forth as long as it has power. And what you can do is you can use the USB micro port there, and you could tie this to a USB power bank and make sure it has enough power to last it. And you could just sit there and let it run for like a couple of hours, get a beautiful, gorgeous, time lapse combined with motion instead of just having a static time lapse image and everything. And this could be very gorgeous. This could work with astro cinematography. If you know how to do that properly, you learn a little bit of camera technique and settings, and all of a sudden you have this ridiculously unique content that's very hard to come by, very appealing, very easy for people to share. And so all of a sudden you got that. This is a $160 investment that changes the nature of any cinematic content you want to make. So again, easy hack, $160. $160, a little bit of practice, a couple hours of tutorials, unique content for a destination channel. So in the ASMR stuff, that would be kind of something unique that you could do to add to this dimensionally. And like I said, the way that you mass produce this content is you go out and you take maybe 2 cameras or whatever, possibly a friend to make sure to look out for you because you're in the woods anyway. I wouldn't go by yourself. And you do this stuff, and then you could mass produce a bunch of content because now you could just do different angles. You do it a couple of days. You've got all this wonderful footage. You literally could take a weekend and you can make a month's worth of footage to do a unique channel like this. And you could do it all in a weekend. And that's wild. And it's just this great opportunity. The big thing you want to do is you make sure you want to bring the right memory cards, power chargers, backup, possibly a solar panel to charge for power, and a backup battery. Jackery is really good for that stuff. So you might want to even look that up. So that's something that I think is really important for a niche like that. And, you know, that's a whole thing. So I hope that for like understanding broader concepts of how can I also then take an idea from somebody else, turn that into inspiration without copying them. Now you're going to go multidimensional in how you take that a lot further. Yeah, it's all good, Gen X memories, all good. So one of those things I think that makes things radically different is how do I take a concept to an extreme? If I see something and it has 100,000 views and a small creator was able to accomplish it, you don't want to rip someone off. You want to take their concept and say, what is a different or more extreme version of this? Or how do I apply this to myself? Or how do I do something inspired by this that is now unique to my situation, my circumstances, and how can I improve on an existing idea? So I think that that would be the direction to go. Playing the mom game says, what kind of daily videos were you doing? How long and how edited, or not as much? So it was content that's very similar to what I'm doing now, minus the live streaming component, even though I did do a live stream once a week during that time as well. But essentially, I was focused on freelancers at the time. Now, the pivot to content creators was actually an easy pivot because 80% of all of the information applies to the same group of people. Because ironically, all the skills I was teaching freelancers would be necessary for a content creator. So what kind of content was I doing? Mondays, usually I was doing graphic design videos, primarily focused around Photoshop and occasionally free graphic design tools. So that'd be Photoshop. Canva didn't exist yet. So it'd be Photoshop and it'd be other graphic design tools. So it'd be the way to do visuals and stuff like that, and learning Photoshop. Then on Tuesdays, I was doing tech content. Most of my tech content and reviews were things I was buying that would help me as a content creator. Primary example would be I'd be reviewing budget laptops for video editing and photography, graphics tablets for creating Photoshop work and thumbnails and editing photography. So again, that would play out to a content creator. Microphone reviews for video, and of course, doing reviews of camera bodies and camera lenses. I was also writing for a photography magazine at the time, and that's how I was making a lot of my money at the time. I was writing for graphic design and photography magazines. And I was making about $1,500 a month doing the writing. That doesn't sound like a lot of money until you realize that back then, rent for a 3-bedroom house in North Carolina was only $960. So that was rent and utilities. And the Amazon affiliate links back then were doing so well before they changed the program that I was also making another $1,200 to $1,500 a month off of the Amazon affiliate links, even as a small YouTube channel. And so that was definitely helping me out because $1,500 would cover rent and utilities. So then making another $1,200 on that was going to cover car note, insurance, gas, and groceries. So with money left over. So it was, even in the beginning, it was pretty sweet to be able to make that money. And then I was still doing freelance web design and graphic design gigs while teaching people how to do freelance web design and graphic design gigs on YouTube. So, and then the occasional wedding that I was shooting as a photographer, the occasional wedding, the occasional model shoot, the occasional product photography for a local business, etc. I was editing videos for brands at the time. I was editing videos for brands and editing videos for events that were trying to edit the videos of their speakers and stuff like that. So that is ultimately how I was making my money. So I was making a couple $1,000s a month as a full-time freelancer, teaching people how to make money online using their skills and how to learn the skills that make them the money. So you want to make money as a wedding photographer? Here's the skills. Here's how to build a portfolio. You want to make money as a graphic designer? Here's how to do Photoshop, but also here's how to sell yourself. So I was doing graphic design tutorial content on Mondays, which is mostly Photoshop tutorials, which is why all of you would know the Photoshop stuff to teach you how to make a YouTube thumbnail. Then I was doing tech reviews so you know what to buy, camera lenses, microphones, lighting equipment. I was reviewing every piece of tech I was buying, memory card readers, video editing laptops, graphics tablets. Did very well with that. Also helped with the Amazon affiliate links to make money. Wednesdays, I was doing video and photography tutorials. So it was camera tutorials on Wednesdays. Very important if you need to know how to shoot your own content. Very important if you're going to do wedding photography, filmmaking on the weekend to make money while you're waiting for your content to take off. So that would happen. Then I was doing tutorial Thursdays where I would pick some other type of tutorial to do, usually video editing, which is very helpful to a YouTube content creator. Then I was doing social media Fridays, which turned into YouTube Advice Fridays after I had 100,000 subscribers, turned into YouTuber Fridays. So I was doing that content on Fridays. Then I was doing Small Business Saturdays and then Vlog Talk Sundays, which is where I would go live and I would just talk to my audience. So, and then for a little while, I got into doing reaction videos on Saturdays for a while. I've unlisted those videos since because there's no point in having them up. They don't fit. So I was doing that on Saturdays a lot of the time. During peak Game of Thrones, I did some reactions to that. Those did actually surprisingly really well because I kind of was like, hey, we'll do business on the weekday. We'll have fun on the weekends was kind of a philosophy for the channel back then. This is before I became ruthless about content strategy and said, you got to do things that work. You got to do things that are much more focused. YouTube was also not as algorithmically driven back then as it is today. It was very different back then. It was very community driven versus algorithmically driven back then. So you have to understand it's a different era of YouTube. That's why now that things are very much less community driven. My approach to this is let's be a little bit more ruthless about it. If your goal is growth, if your only grow is community, then you can go a completely different direction. So that's, kind of some of Roberto's villain origin story and what I was doing. So for me, the thing is those things overlapped enough. They did fragment my audience to a degree, which is why I learned the lesson that if I focus more, the channel performs better. So over time, I actually had to make less videos to get the same results. And I was able to get it down to about 100 to 150 through narrow focus instead of variety. And the variety was not paying off, which actually brings us to the 80-20 rule of content strategy, which I'm glad we get to pivot to that. So the 80-20 rule of content strategy is actually really important. Let's see. Yeah, YouTube Analytics. Where is it? Nope, it's not there. Where is... here it is. Okay. So the 80-20 rule of content strategy is going to be as follows. What we're going to do here is we're going to go into YouTube advanced mode again. And what I'm going to show you is, instead of views by content, we're going to go to subscribers by content over the lifetime of my channel. And I'm going to show you something really interesting. Come on, YouTube. You can do it. It's okay. You can do it, YouTube. All right, there we go. So, subscribers, we don't need to see the watch hours. Where can I get rid of this? It's not doing the thing. Come on. All right. So subscribers. The majority of people's YouTube subscribers tends to come from the top 20% or so of their overall content. So in my case, that would theoretically mean that the top 300 videos of my channel are ultimately, in its lifetime, what will have grown my channel the most. And so that actually makes a lot of sense, because by the time you get through that, it means that the overwhelming majority of those videos would have brought in a certain number of individual subscribers per video. So in terms of getting an idea of what that looks like, you can see here that, you know, when we go through this, if YouTube wants to cooperate with me here in terms of populating the data, is that, you know, the top 50 results, we haven't even gotten to a video that produced less than 1,000 subscribers of the top 50 results. And then out of the top 20 results or so, all the videos in the top 20 results or so lean a lot closer to producing 5,000 to 10,000 subscribers per individual video. So what we would do in my case is, if we like go through this granularly, we could look at these top 50 videos, for example, and this top 50 videos is probably close to representing top 3% of my channel overall, or whatever. We could look at these and go, okay, let's base 80% of the videos that we're going to make off of the videos that perform the best. Because if we make 100 videos that perform as well as these, then if we're only qualifying for, in my case, the videos that produced 1,000 subscribers per video, by using even the top 50 as our example, and we use that as our kind of staging ground for planning our video content, we're like, okay, here are 50 video ideas among our own videos that got us 1,000 subscribers per video, regardless of the views. Now, most of these videos that got us at least 1,000 subscribers also had at least roughly 100,000 views on them. So we can kind of use that to get an idea of what's going to grow our channel. Now, when it comes to growing channels, I actually focus on subscribers. I don't actually focus on views. Part of that's because I don't rely on AdSense revenue to make the majority of my money. YouTube Partner Program is great. AdSense is great. However, I don't rely on that to make the majority of my money. Ironically, for a lot of people, it's not even the coaching and that stuff that makes me the majority of my money. It's one of my bigger revenue streams, but it's not the biggest one. The biggest one to this day is still sponsorships. The second biggest one is coaching right now. When I do get around to courses, it'll probably be the biggest one. But then off of that, it's affiliate links, and not just Amazon affiliate links. It is all the software that I use in addition to the Amazon affiliate links. It's software. So for me, it's software and hardware. And software and hardware are the best affiliate things that there are, because you can't really argue whether it's legit or a scam. It's software and hardware. You either use it or you don't. You return it or refund it. And so you can't really go wrong with that one. So for me, that's where I put a lot of my focus in terms of the revenue. That's why I don't really worry about the views. And it's also, I do educational content. If I was an entertainer, I'd have to worry more about views. especially since my monetization options outside of views would still be dependent on views to make money. So hopefully that makes sense. So I focus on subscribers. Why? Because there's two routes. If you're an entertainer / influencer, I do think you should focus on views. But if you're a thought leader, I think you should focus on subscribers. Why? Because if you're a thought leader, status and social proof matter. And the thing is, as a thought leader, you will stand out and be an authority based on subscribers, not views. If you are an influencer, then you're selling your reach instead of your reputation. So it would be based on relevancy. Therefore, it's based on views. If you're a thought leader, it's based on status and social proof. Therefore, subscribers. So a influencer sells their reach. A thought leader sells their reputation. So an influencer values relevancy. A thought leader values status. Hopefully that dichotomy makes more sense for you. When you say thought leader, you could think about educator. When you say influencer, you're thinking entertainer, personality. So a thought leader is an authority. A influencer is a personality. That's probably one of the easiest ways for you to understand the difference. Some people are going to say, well, what about edutainment? Edutainment is a hybrid unicorn. I don't think it has the longevity that other people think. I think that when you become an edutainment channel, you inevitably become an entertainer and not an educator anyway. I think that when you become an edutainment channel, 80% of the content is entertainment and your strongest focus is getting views. So you might as well just be an entertainer. So I think then edutainment channel inevitably becomes an entertainment channel in the long run that has some marginal education utility. So that's just my personal opinion. That's just one man's belief. It doesn't mean that an educator can't have a little bit of fun, but it wouldn't be the priority. And you wouldn't be prioritizing views if you're an educator and a thought leader. The reason you'd be prioritizing status and subscribers because it's a public support of solidarity, and it's the closest thing to a stamp of approval that people give you to say, I got actual value from what you do. So it would be for that. In that regard, if you've done your job, not everybody's going to come back and be dependent on you forever. One of the biggest things they say about people who do YouTube strategy and YouTube coaching and YouTube education channels is, oh, these gurus want to get you hooked on their content forever. Now, if we did, and I'm not saying there's not some bad actors or bad apples out there. I'll just use myself, though. I can't speak for everybody. I'll say, if I'm doing my job correctly, then I'm not going to have a good view to subscriber ratio because it means people are not going to depend on me. They're going to get what they need, hit a subscribe to show they supported me and that I do make valuable content. And then they're going to leave and move on and get back to work, which is actually what I want for people. I want people to get what they need and then just get back to work. You know, I would prefer to have people get what they need, say, thank you, Roberto, leave a nice comment, hit the subscribe button, watch only the 20 videos that are best for them and be served. I do not need them to keep showing up for every video. An entertainer needs that. If someone really was making people dependent on their content and kind of conditioning their audience, then they would have, in my opinion, this ridiculous view to subscriber ratio where they're always getting more views than they have like subscribers, or a very close ratio to it, or like half the audience is subscribed viewers that keep coming back and keep coming back. So the thing is, if it is an abundance of returning viewers that are vastly outnumbering the new people, you would see that reflected in the views, and that would mean you did condition dependency and people aren't learning and moving on. If people are learning and moving on, then the views will reflect that people are learning and moving on. You can't say someone's conditioning people to be dependent on them if people are getting what they need and moving on, and that's the case. So that's just one point of view on that. I would argue that all utility content is a frame where if you make 1,000 videos, that the people you're helping are going to pick somewhere between 12 and 100 videos out of the 1,000 that are actually just what they need, which is more than fine, and they're going to use those when they need it. And it's going to be something they bookmark and reference from time to time. They're probably not going to watch the other 80 or 90% of your content that doesn't apply to them because they figured that out. They got it elsewhere. They already knew that, or they don't need it today, but they might need it tomorrow. And that's perfectly okay. Most of your content will get its views from search if you're an education channel. Now, if you're an entertainment channel, by the way, what I just said also applies if you are a gaming channel that helps people improve in the game. This is true if you play games like Clash Royale, Clash of Clans, and if you are doing Call of Duty, but you're not doing trick shots, or if you're doing non-sandbox games that might have sandbox components like Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, things like that, or even competitive games. But if you do sandbox games, then it's purely kind of brain rot content, and it's people watching it to kill time, mostly very, very young people. So that would be your Minecraft, Roblox, GTA type content. Those things are much more conditioned for being addictive content and just being, someone's habit, someone's quick fix. And it's not necessarily inherently bad. I'm using brain rot content kind of as a joke or sarcastically. Bless you, Tom. That's the cat. So that would be the thing that I'm pointing out here. What I do think is important in this equation, though, aside from the revenue component that's predicated on the YouTube Partner Program, is to figure out what your goals are and then optimize for the outcomes you're looking for. Now, I don't necessarily target viral video strategy. Remember, my primary tactics involve either brute force or aggressive strategy that is very specific to a goal or outcome and leveraging psychology. So my thing is basically brute force, precision, and psychology. Brute force, precision, psychology, and also in terms of a tactic, I also believe in value times volume. So like high value content doesn't have to be the highest quality content if the value is there. Value is in packaging around topic, title, thumbnail, and timing. So value driven content, what is the viewer value based on their psychology and desires? What's good enough quality to stand up in the marketplace? It doesn't have to be the best. It has to be good enough. And then how can we be more consistent over a longer period of time of giving that person the experience that they enjoyed and the value that they crave? And how can we just outlast and outwork our competition? So that's where, again, my concepts of psychology is around the packaging and the value. Then we get very specific about how we deliver a quality experience to people. And then we ultimately do volume and use brute force tactics with volume to basically penetrate and saturate the market with our content. And then, so that's kind of the way that I approach these things. And you can do that as an entertainment channel, and you can do it as an education thought leader channel as well. So you can do it as an influencer entertainer, and you can do it as a thought leader educator. You can go either way and do that, but there are niches where it works very well and niches where it doesn't. But the ones it doesn't are not because the tactic is bad. It's because the tactic will hurt your mental health more if you are emotionally more invested in that content. And while everyone's emotionally invested in their content, I think that gamers use games as an outlet from their 9-to-5 job. I know I did. It's escapism. If you turn escapism into a job with a performance burden, it can go very badly for you. Art and music are much the same thing. DIY and crafting, it's less about that and more about the logistics part of brute forcing is much more difficult for those channels because there's also an expense to DIY and crafting. There might also be an expense to art channels. So brute force tactics might be a budget problem for a working class creator in those niches. Now, there are ways to finesse this to work with gaming and art channels and music channels, but I would rather give you a strategy for those, and I might in another one of these streams one day, that won't kill your soul and make you hate the thing that you enjoy. Now, I'm not saying you're going to hate the thing you enjoy in other niches if you do these tactics, because these tactics just are not as emotionally a compromise for other types of niches, if it makes sense, because other types of niches just have a lower emotional investment for participating than those other niches. And those other niches are also things that a lot of young people adapt. So again, that's kind of what my caveat is for this. So moving to the next part of this, go back to our screen for 1 of 10. We'll answer a couple of questions along the way here. In terms of this strategy, we covered that why we're going to do the 150 videos for brute force or even go daily. So we're going 3 video uploads a week or daily. We're going 3 thumbnails for ABC testing. We are making sure all of our titles are at 3rd grade to 5th grade reading level. That's on our checklist. We're going to niche down to 1 audience, but we're going to build roughly 5 or so content pillars for that audience around the topics that that audience enjoys that are all very similar to each other. We're going to use the 80-20 rule, and every 90 days, we're going to analyze the top 20% of videos that are growing our channel, either by views or by subscribers or both. Then we're going to make 80% of the next content over the next 90 days, roughly every 90 days, we're making about 35 videos, 35, 36 videos every 90 days in our schedule. So we're going to use the 80-20 rule. 80% of those are going to be based on what the top 20% of the previous 90 days videos were. And then that's going to help us narrow down to saying we will duplicate what is working and we will add more of what is working. And that could result in exponential growth for us instead of just linear growth of that. So that will help us accelerate. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to edit the first 90 seconds of our videos a bit more aggressively than the rest of our content. So what do I mean by that? I mean, in your video editing program, you're going to take the first 90 seconds of your video, which is where the video dies off. Like most people abandon your video in the first 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. So if we're going to lose audience retention, it's going to happen usually in the first 90 seconds of the video. So if we edit the first 90 seconds of the video a little bit more aggressively, we have a higher probability of keeping people longer and getting them to stick. So what we have to do is our hooks have to happen. Our hooks have to happen in the first 5 to 8 seconds of the video and get to the point so that people stay on the video and feel like they're getting value and we didn't waste their time. So we have to deliver value to them in the first 15 seconds. And that means our hook has to be 5 to 8 seconds, no more than that. And then we have to be into the content and delivering the value. We also want to make sure the first 90 seconds of the video is probably the most polished version of the video. It doesn't mean we slack off after that for the rest of the video, but that's where we aggressively edit the most. What do I mean by aggressively edit? Something interesting should be happening on the screen every 2 to 3 seconds for the first 90 seconds of the video. You don't have to do a cut every second. That's probably too far. That's probably too much Mr. Beast. But something should be happening every 2 to 3 seconds for the first 90 seconds to keep the attention span going. And so that's going to be what the aggressive edit is. If that is too much, then at least every 3 to 5 seconds of the first 90 seconds. And that is something that I would highly recommend if you want to reduce the drop off from your videos that happens in the first 15, 30, 60, and 90 seconds of a video and keep your retention tighter. If you do this, it can move the needle. If you have 30% retention or less, this will be what helps you get 50% retention rates or higher. So that is what you're going to want to do. Your call to actions at the end of the video, you also want those to be 5 to 8 seconds. And your goal is to direct them to go to another video that you link in the end card and in the description and tell them that's in the description. This will help you if you multi-purpose your videos otherwhere because other things don't have end cards. So you just say that it's in the description down below, but you're also going to put it visually in the end card so they get the idea for YouTube and tell them to watch that video next. So that's going to be very, very important for you. You're also going to want in the description of all of your videos to have that next up video, but also have a playlist that they could watch. And also you want to list at least 3 other videos that they could watch and could click on. You want to use your YouTube share link for that to know that they're clicking on that video. If you want to be crazy and get a little crazy, you could also use a tracking link, and you could use Genius Link if you want to see if people are clicking on these things when you put them in your description. So you can see what your click-through rates through the descriptions are, and then you would know that. So that could be good data for you to have. It might be a little extreme, but it is an option if you want to get crazy with data collection. For editing your videos more efficiently, there are really only about 6 video editing apps that I recommend if you want to get fast at this, to be able to keep up with either a 3 times a week or daily video editing schedule. And I recommend batch video recording and batch video editing instead of having to make a video, edit a video, make a video, edit a video. No, just do a bunch of it all at once up front. Now, for speed, I'm going to recommend either Adobe Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, or DaVinci Resolve. Adobe's on subscription model, but you get the whole creative suite, and you need to have Photoshop anyway. I'm an Adobe guy, so that's the way I go. But I've also learned Final Cut and DaVinci Resolve. I'll probably eventually do tutorials on them and duplicate all my Adobe tutorials and do Final Cut Pro and DaVinci versions of them as well. The ones that performed anyway, the ones that got 100,000 views, following my own strategy here. So that would work. Those are fast. They have great communities. There's a lot of tutorials on them. They're the best, but they do cost money to have the pro versions. There's a free version of DaVinci Resolve, so you might want to use that. If you're going to outsource to video editors, I would say that DaVinci Resolve is good for outsourcing because a bunch of people have it because it's free, and there's a lot of great plugins for it, but also same for Adobe Premiere Pro. So if you're sending things to an editor and then you want to maybe get the files back and so on and so forth, I would argue that the best ones for collaborative editing are DaVinci Resolve and Adobe Premiere Pro if you're outsourcing editors. If you're going to stay a solo creator, Final Cut Pro or DaVinci Resolve probably is very good for you. You couldn't go wrong with Adobe Premiere Pro, in my opinion. Now, if you need budget software because you're not there yet, CapCut is free. You could also get the Pro version. Adobe Rush is freemium, and you could use that. And those would be the ones I would highly recommend and will have the best options and the best overall speed when it comes to doing the appropriate type of editing and doing it quick, fast, and in a hurry, and being consistent. Also, again, CapCut, if you're on the free kind of broke model and you also want to outsource to an editor, a lot of people use CapCut because it's free, so you wouldn't run into as many hiccups there. Or having an editor that has the CapCut Pro version, it's not going to be as hard to come by. So those would be the video editing software that I would recommend. Now, when it comes to audio, and if you need audio tweaking, Adobe has this free thing, Adobe Podcast Audio Enhance. It's very good for fixing some of the things in your audio. So I would recommend that. That's also free. Also, if you have Adobe Creative Cloud and the suite, you can modify and edit your audio in Adobe Audition and dramatically improve it. GarageBand isn't great for improving your audio, but you can do podcasting with it. Audacity is still free, and so you could use that as a free open source thing to improve your audio. I believe that one of the best things you could do is if you have the paid version of DaVinci, they also have an audio tool that comes with that, and you can improve your audio there as well. Descript is also out there, and that's also good. Oh yeah, I forgot the other video editor that I'd recommend on a budget. Camtasia is very good, and it's great for screen recording. Your best screen recorders are Camtasia if you pay money. And then beyond that, OBS is good for a screen recorder. If you already have StreamYard and you use it for live streaming, you can also use that as a screen recorder. So those would be my recommendations for screen recording software. And then I told you video editing and audio. For audio equipment to get higher quality, because I'm bringing this up because this is about retention tactics. So for retention tactics, I told you the biggest drop off is going to be in your intro and your hooks. The other thing that affects your drop off besides the video editing and pacing and the storytelling is going to be the audio quality you have. If you're at your desk, you want to use either an Elgato Wave on a budget, a Shure M7 if you want something around $200 or so used. And then if you want the best audio at a desk that you can get, probably just go with the Shure SM7B or the Shure SM7DB. So either of those, you want to go with that. And then, of course, you'll plug them into an XLR audio interface. If you use the M7 or the Elgato, you can obviously use USB and plug that directly into your computer. So those will give you good quality audio in terms of your input. Audio will decide the fate of your video more often than not. Keep that in mind. If you need wireless microphones, you can either go with the DJI wireless mic 2s. Those are the best overall all around. The best that money can buy, however, is probably the Sennheiser AVXs. Sennheiser AVXs are used in public speaking. They're used in broadcast television. These do very well, but they are expensive. I have 2 of these. They're about $700 a pop. They are robust. They have lasted me for about 6 years now. No, 7 years, I think. I think I've had these for like 6 or 7 years, and they still work. Fantastic. But the DJI wireless are modern. They're new. They have some of the best features. That's a $300 2 microphone, 1 receiver kit, can do dual interviews, internal recording, and has AI audio filter processing if and when you need it. Dual channel recording. I have no bad things to say about the DJI wireless mic version 2 for $300 and something. Probably the best all-arounder. So I would give it that rating. On a budget, if you need 1 wireless mic on a budget, Deity Wireless is excellent. You could also get the Sony wireless mic for your Sony system. You also could go with the Rode mic, the Rode Mic Go version 2. I have those. The Rode Wireless Go version 2. Those are about $240, $250 for a set of 2, plus the 1 receiver for dual audio for interviews. So you can get that for a wireless microphone. For shotgun microphones, Deity has the best stuff for under $100. If you're going to spend $200 up, maybe you go with either the Sennheiser MKE 300 or the Rode Video Mic Pro Plus, which turns on when your camera turns on, turned off when your camera turns off. So that one's a good one. And then for the most expensive, bestest shotgun mic money can buy, it's probably the Sennheiser MKH 416 at $1,000. So those would be my recommendations on improving audio quality and what microphones you can have. And again, the reason I bring it up is because audio will probably play the biggest role in retention after your editing, structuring, and pacing of your intro, and then throughout your video. Audio will be the thing that makes or breaks the video after that for retention rates. So again, we want to optimize for retention rates. The other thing that I'll bring up is I don't want most of you to worry about tags. Most of you will never be good at SEO, so it doesn't matter for tags. So the only tags I want most of you using, because you don't know any better, is to just put your channel name, your name, the video title, the topic, probably the niche like true crime, history, ASMR, whatever, in there. And then if there are other people mentioned in the video 2 to 3 times, you can put their names in there. But for most of you, you will never be good at SEO. Tags are not as important for it as they used to be in YouTube. I do not want most of you to worry about it. Just throw those in and call it a day for most of you. Do not worry about it. It's not going to have a significant impact for the far majority of you. Your title, thumbnail, topic, and timing is the thing that will decide the views that you get the most. Beyond that, it's the performance of the video based on its, and transcript, your transcript. And then beyond that, so it's topic, title, thumbnail, timing, and transcript. Then beyond that, if you were going to do SEO, I would say it's your time stamps in terms of your SEO, and that would matter a lot more. Tags would probably be the least important thing you can do to influence the amount of views that you will ever get on a video. So I wouldn't worry about it for the majority of you. Then the next thing that I would say is when it comes to your description, the part of your description that you're optimizing for views is actually the linking of playlist is very important. The linking of other videos that are similar to your other videos and interconnecting your videos is very important in your description as far as I'm concerned. It's much more important than worrying about keyword optimizing your descriptions. I would say optimize your descriptions to get people to click on more videos or to click on links that pay you money. So your descriptions job, the job of your description section, job description, get it? The job of your description. Okay. So the job of your description is to either get you more video views or to make you more money. That's its only real purpose. So I would optimize it with those goals in mind. Can and should it be descriptive of your video to some degree? That's fine. The other thing I would do is include chapter timestamps. I know some of you are worried about people skipping through your video. I'd rather they skip through your video than leave your video because they don't think it has structure or gets to the point. So it's better for people to skip through your video than to leave it early. Okay? Better for them to skip through sections of your video and watch more of it than to leave early and watch less of it. Always optimize for more watch time, more retention. Optimize for more watch time, more retention, and longer average view duration. That is the key to performance. That is the key to more impressions and more relevancy and to ranking. So that becomes very important to keep in mind. Then you're going to do playlist. You're going to make playlist on a consistent basis. If it were me, I'd be making playlist. Every day you're not making a video, I'd be making a playlist. So if you're making 3 videos a week, I'd be making playlist, another three playlists every week. And I'd be organizing my videos in categories of 6, 12, or 20 videos in a playlist that are all related to each other. I'd also be making a continuous playlist of here are my videos for 2024, here are my videos for 2025, here are my videos for 2023, and I'd be organizing and archiving your videos by year. And I'd also be archiving them by category, by topic, by pillar, so on and so forth. These are not the playlists that will appear on your own YouTube channel homepage. They are playlists that we are making to tell YouTube the relationship between individual videos in our catalog and also to squeeze out another search result. You will label the playlist with a title that makes sense and also theoretically could be search friendly, but will make sense to somebody who wants to watch it. And also you will make a description that accurately describes it. You're not going to try to keyword stuff it. You can use some keywords in a naturally easy to read sentence that is something that a human being would understand. And to give context to what are the videos that you're going to see if you click into this playlist. So that's how you would do your playlist strategy and why it would be important, because it's, again, for the benefit of showing the relationship between individual videos. It also gives you should be making playlists based on the types of playlist you want people to click on in individual videos that would make the most sense for them based on the promise you made in the video or the type of content they were watching. And so this is why there's no downside to making as many playlists as you possibly can. So as long as you have a catalog and the playlist makes sense and you don't have to chock them full of 100 videos, 6, 12, 20, it's kind of a good place to be. Except for the videos that are going to be about, here's the videos, all the videos from 2024. Here are all the videos from things. Now, if you do something crazy and you do an event, you do a specific game or different games, or if you're an anime YouTuber, you could actually make playlist by anime. You can make playlist by character and so on and so forth. So you get it. You get the idea. So playlist strategy, very important. We're going to have the YouTube community tab, and there's a couple of strategies we're going to use for the YouTube community tab. And I'm going to get to some of the chat and the questions, by the way. What about reusing the tags from previous videos? Would that harm or help the channel? I don't really think it or feel that much. I'm like, my view on tags is very, very different than everyone else's. I will probably do a live stream and workshop just about keyword strategy. Tags are the least important part of keyword strategy for me at all. So again, I don't want you to think of tags as helping or hurting anything. I want you to think about tags as something that you could use to categorize and classify videos and the relationship between videos. As really the only way I want to use them is using them for categorization and classification and the relationship between videos. So that's why we want to do that. Playlists are searchable. Keep that in mind. Playlists are searchable, but playlists also end up in recommendations as well. So that is something that a lot of people completely overlook. And playlists can influence the suggested algorithm to some degree. Again, it's every little bit helps here. So just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. There are a lot of other good microphones out, by the way. I was just using and making that one with the microphones I recommended. Those are the ones that most of you would know about and what that would be that you could use within certain price ranges. There are obviously other ones, but I also am obviously going to tell you the microphones that I own and have used and have tested, and that you can watch my videos and see what their outcomes look like. My C Prince asks, Roberto, I wonder if autoplay contributes to the hockey stick drop off. We're still not able to have a consensus on that. The next time I talk to somebody from Team YouTube, which I probably will be, if I don't talk to somebody online and from Team YouTube in Twitter or Discord, then I'll talk to them in person in New York in September when I go up there, or at Vid Summit Labor Day weekend. And I'll ask them specifically about this one. I'm going to star this question so I can remember to ask them about it. How do I feel about Canva? So the reason I preface using Photoshop, GIMP, or Affinity Photo or Affinity Designer is that while Canva can be useful, 90% of people are not skilled enough with Canva to make thumbnails that are not bad. 1 out of 5 stars, 1 star out of 5 is how most Canva thumbnails turn out, because people will use Canva as an excuse for lazy design practices or generic thumbnail design. Slap up an image, don't do any real editing to the image, just cut out the background, don't even think about what the background is or contrast or color or anything, no drop shadows, and then they'll just throw out a Canva thumbnail. That's why I don't like Canva thumbnails. It is possible to make excellent thumbnails in Canva. Most people do not use good photography and photo editing and design skills. So I'm not dunking on people who use Canva because it's free. I'm dunking on people who use Canva because it's free and then never master it. If you're going to use a free tool, there's no excuse not to master it. If you're going to get a tool that everyone can use and then you still want to do something that stands out, the only answer is to master a free tool. Otherwise, you're not any better off than the millions of people making generic things with a free tool. Same thing with a free platform. The key would be, if you're going to use something because it's $0, then master it and be better at it than anyone else. At least when you use something that you pay for and pay more money for, you are in a category where you've disqualified the other 90% of people that can't afford it. And at least there may be some advantage in that. But if you're going to use something that everyone has access to, you might as well master it. So that's my thought on Canva. I use Canva quite a bit, but I don't use it at an average user level. But you know, even then, there are ways to go about it and really make things that could stand out. But it would require also bothering to learn more about graphic design, photography, color theory, and layout, and doing it very, very intentionally. Thumbnails cannot be an afterthought. Thumbnails are more important than video editing, at least in terms of determining your views. So that's why our strategy also requires us to put in the effort to make 3 thumbnails for ABC testing for every video that we're going to upload, and then research in 1 of 10 to qualify what is a competitive thumbnail in our niche and can get views even on a small subscriber channel, and say, what are we competing against? And we cannot upload something that is not competitive. So that's why we would do it. That's why we would do it. Now, the other thing we're going to do is we need a community tab strategy. And so for the community tab, we're going to promote videos that do very well in getting us new subscribers, not views, but subscribers. And we're going to promote those in our community tab 2 to 3 times a week as a in case you missed it type post. We should also post other things that are not videos in our community tab throughout that week. Polls, quizzes, memes, something that our audience would enjoy. So even something that you might promote your merchandise or sell, something like that. But we should use the community tab in YouTube almost every day if we can, probably daily community tab post to keep our community engaged. But we should share videos in there that grow our channel very well 2 to 3 times a week. Instead of promoting the video, hey, I really want people to see this. No, promote a video that performed really well in terms of retaining people and getting them to subscribe. Promote that. Not what you wish would do well, promote what is already doing well. Not what you wish would do well, what's already doing well. That's the key. So that's something most people over their head because they're like, I want that video to do well. No, here's a video that's doing well. Push this more. Pump what's working. You got something that sells, move it to the front of the store. Not what you wish was selling. I wish this was selling more. Maybe if I put it in front of the store. No, here's what's already selling. Move it to the front. Get more units. Simple. Same reason. Oh, I wish that video is doing well. Maybe if I try again, maybe I've changed thumbnail. No, here's a video that's doing well. Great. Let me make another video that has the same psychology behind it and will do well also. Let me double down on what's working. Let me leave. All right, I wanted that to work, but it didn't. Moving on. So that's the key. Make evergreen video content for every single video if you can. Now, out of your 150 videos, my goal would be all of them are evergreen and have a lifespan of 12 to 36 months so that you can still milk views, subscribers, and ad revenue off of them for 1 to 3 years before they go stale and are not relevant. They do not have to be search friendly to accomplish that, by the way, but it doesn't hurt. Now, if that is too much and it doesn't work for you, 80-20 rule, 80% evergreen, 20% trending. That way you don't have to miss out on something that's seasonal or jumping on something when it's important or in your niche or to your community. So 80-20 rule on that. 20% could be timely, trending, or seasonal content, and 80% of it is evergreen that works for you at least all year long or could work longer than that year and still keep putting in the work for you. So that would be the reason. Now, how long should your videos be? This one is tricky, and there are reasons to do it differently in every niche. And you can do a variety of these video formats, but I'm going to tell you the video lengths that I came up with and why. They shouldn't surprise you too much. Now, the rule of thumb is a video should be as long as it needs to be and not a minute longer. I stand by that. However, you can make formats and shows that fit these and need to be as long as these videos are so it could make sense for you. There will be exceptions. This is once again an 80-20. You do 80% of the videos within these video length ranges that I'm going to give you, and 20% can be whatever they need to be, but I would try to stick to these, and I'm going to tell you my reasons before I tell you the formats. The reasons I'm picking these are partly because of monetization and optimization for putting in more ad breaks in videos and getting more money more effectively out of every video so you can invest that into buying back your time, hiring a full-time editor if you don't have one, or doing anything that makes it easier and faster to make content and make it better. So that's why I care about monetization. Monetization is a tool that you can use to speed up things, buy back time, buy other people's skill and expertise to improve the quality of the content that you're delivering on, make your life easier to make content, and make this sustainable for you to do and not at the expense of your family. So that is why monetization matters to me and why I prioritize profit more than passion, because profit can give you room for the things you are passionate about, but not if you chase passion at the expense of profit. So I would rather prioritize profit and buy back time for what you're passionate about than the other way around. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, with that in mind, the video lengths that I suggest are 8 minutes because, again, we can put in mid-roll ads at 8 minutes, 12 minutes because, again, we can put in mid-roll ads, 16 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, and 120 minutes. You could go longer than that if you're doing certain things, but those are the ones I tend to want people to stick with. Here is my reasoning on that beyond monetization. The other reason is because in terms of scripting and structuring videos, it is easier to create sections, chapters, and create a story flow structure when you use these time intervals. These time intervals have been tested in mainstream media because many of you might remember the concept of video vignettes in animation, where basically if you take out the commercial breaks and you have an animated thing that's about roughly a 28, 30-minute TV show, and then you add the commercial breaks, you basically can get 2 animated features in there, 2 vignettes that will have a runtime between 8 and 12 minutes per each animated segment with commercials. So for those of you who grew up in the Nickelodeon era, that's basically Rugrats and Doug would have 2 segments in them, and they'd have about an 8 to 12 minute runtime per segment in a 30-minute quote unquote episode when you take out all the commercials and when you account for the intro and exit, the intro and outro of the show. So if you take the intro and outro of the show into consideration, then you get 2 episodes of these animations that have a runtime of 8 to 12 minutes apiece. So that's typically what you'd get in a lot of cases. The 16-minute format is basically what you'd get in a more or less uninterrupted animation vignette. It's also what you'd get usually in game show segments. Game show segments would usually end up really being, because you'd have intro, outros, and intermissions and stuff like that, plus commercial breaks. In terms of raw content, it'd be about 16 minutes. Then obviously, a lot of you know that if you do a traditional animation program with 1 episode, like Transformers or G.I. Joe, once you take out all the commercial breaks and you take out the intro and outro, you have about 20 minutes of actual content, and then so on and so forth. And then you guys, of course, are going to be familiar with 30-minute, 45-minute, 60-minute, 90-minute, 120-minute, and why that all makes sense, because then you're just doing containers of the other sections of individual videos that could fit within that. So that's why that would ultimately work, and why we go with that approach, and why we break those things up, because that allows us to basically do individual segments that can be self-contained versions of videos. It also helps us with clipping later and so on and so forth if we want to make repurposed clipping content that's not necessarily YouTube Shorts, but would be segments and clips of videos that would be self-contained. So that would be the other reason we do that. And then that helps us with our repurposing workflow. It helps with story structure. It helps with scripting and writing and navigation. It also helps with chapters, timestamps, and so on and so forth. So it's extremely thought out that I came up with that system. Also, in terms of your ad breaks for monetization, it makes sense when you do that. And then you can put in the traditional ad breaks that would happen in commercial television without overwhelming the audience and annoying them. But you also need to be optimizing for the most revenue possible. And now you're kind of competing with television when you use that approach. So like I said, you can use the 80-20 rule here as well and not take this to heart. You can do what the video requires, but these are ranges that help you in case you didn't have direction and you're like, I don't know how long to make my videos. So what do? We went with, okay, here's how we make and what good thumbnails are and why we make them. Here's what would make a good title. Here's how we choose topics. Here's how we generate video ideas and have a video idea engine. Here's how we verify our ideas. Here's how we do our descriptions. Here's how we do our playlist. Here's why we don't worry about tags. I'm leaving basically no stone unturned in the video process. Here are the video editing softwares we use and why. Here's what we do for audio. Here's why that would matter. Here's how this affects retention. Here's the retention percentages that we're aiming for and where we know we're going wrong, so on and so forth. I'm trying to not leave certain things to chance and say that you don't have directions on what to do and why to do it. If you cannot come up with a reason on your own for why to do and what to do and how to do it, I'm trying to answer for that problem. So here I have to give another warning disclaimer about burnout. All this sounds like it will burn you out, then you don't have to do it. If you really need to just express yourself and be passionate and you don't want to have a growth phase and you want to have an expression phase, you can do that. That's fine. You don't have to follow this advice. Remember what I said. If YouTube is a hobby for you and it's the expression and hobby that you need after a long day at work, my advice begins and ends with make whatever you want and have fun and don't look at your numbers if they make you sad. My advice begins and ends with that if you need to be a hobby creator. If you specifically have a goal to make this a full-time career, you want 100,000 subscribers, this is my most brutally honest, ruthless, strategic advice of taking luck as much out of the equation as you possibly can and just using brute force over a long enough period of time to make it work. So remember, we're going with brute force, tenacity, overwhelming numbers, and of course, precision tactics. That's what we're going with. So this is not for everybody. Now, here's something that I do think is important. If you want to do this and you want to do this, but there is a concern you have a burnout and you do still want to express yourself, I do have a couple of caveats that you can use. You could put the videos you're passionate about behind your members only content, and then your ride or dies can pay to support you and access that content. You could also do your vlog style content or your variety content on your TikTok account, and then you can be yourself on TikTok and be a personality and see if it goes somewhere. You can also have a vlog lifestyle, put everything out there, try to have people connect with you as a person. You could do that on Instagram, and it's very effective on Instagram. So those would be ways to express yourself, and just use your other platforms. So you can make YouTube the business engine, and then you can use another place for personality and expression. You could even just stream on Twitch for your personality. So I do think that when you really get down to the nitty-gritty, this is the majority of what I find tends to work if you do it long enough. And our real goal is to make 1,000 pieces of content over the next 3 to 5 years. With 1,000 pieces of content going out there and working for us over a 3 to 5 year period, and all of that content is as evergreen as possible, that's a lot of content going out there that can individually has a whole 3 to 5 years to bring us as many views and as subscribers as that content possibly can. So with an army of 1,000 pieces of content, and we haven't made this content BS. We've made this content to the best of our ability with some limits and constraints that make us focus on our audience and put our audience first. We have 1,000 pieces of content targeted at one group of people, and its only goal is to go out and recruit more people to our community. If you have 1,000 pieces of content as foot soldiers working on your behalf to go and conquer a community, I find it very hard to believe that when those 1,000 pieces of content that you've put the effort to make 3 thumbnails for, put the titles at a 3rd to 5th grade reading level, organize into effective playlist, made the content as evergreen as possible so it has 1 to 3 years to get its job done and go and get you as many subscribers as it can. I have a hard time believing that when you have 1,000 videos that are done that way, and with good audio, mind you, good audio, good video, decent editing, decent pacing, thought out, strategic content that only targets one group of people, one audience, one community, and its only job is to bring you as many people into that community as possible. You have 1,000 videos working on your behalf over a 3 to 5 year period. I really don't see how they're going to fail to achieve their mission, or at least not get halfway there. And their mission is get you 100,000 subscribers and a silver play button. So your 1,000 foot soldier army of content will either accomplish this or at least get halfway there. That is my strategy, and that is my belief. My belief is that on a long enough timeline, overwhelming numbers tend to win. It's just that you would have to put all of those overwhelming numbers to work and focused on a singular objective and goal. If you spread out the army and have them attacking multiple vectors, you're leaving a lot to chance. If you take the entire army and you focus it on just one vector of attack on a long enough timeline, how could you fail? This is a great question from the Electrical Cat. Should we be saving all the videos we make on external or something? Ideally, yes. The expensive version of that is the NAS setup behind me that probably would end up being with the 8 drives in it. Or is it? Yeah, it's 8 drives. 8 drives Synology NAS, network attached storage. That's about a $3,000 backup system with about 48 terabytes of storage capacity on a RAID. Am I using RAID 6? I think I'm using a RAID 6 system. So 2 drives have to fail before I would lose everything at the same time. 2 drives would have to fail at the same time before I could possibly lose everything. So I'm using a RAID 6 setup. If I was using a RAID 5 setup, I'd have 36 gigs capacity, but the redundancy would be better. RAID 6 gives me redundancy, capacity, and speed, I believe. So there is that. I can enhance the speed on this by throwing one of my spare MVE2 SSD drives in there, and that would enhance the speed a little bit and the processing power. So I might do that over the weekend. But that's the advanced version. The less advanced, affordable, portable version of that is to back up on something like a Samsung T5, T7, or T9 drive. That's one of these. If you wanted 2 terabytes, it probably cost you $200 for 2 terabytes. And it's extremely fast. It's so fast you can work off this for editing. The transfer speeds are phenomenal for this. So I would say totally worth it, but your budgets may vary. If you want the most backup storage securely for the lowest price, for less than the $200, I believe you can buy a 4 terabyte LaCie drive, which I use for my annual archive. So I do backup plus I use Backblaze. So my computers are backed up with Backblaze to a remote cloud server. I use Google and Apple Cloud storage. And then I have my NAS and I have my archival LaCie drives. That's me being extreme. I'm a full-time YouTuber. I can do that, but you could get to a reasonable place as a working class, smaller YouTuber by just buying one good 4 terabyte hard drive to start, knowing that your stuff is backed up. And I would back up your raw footage and your project files from DaVinci, Adobe, or Final Cut. And that would be my approach to backups. I will do an entire workshop at some point where I make diagrams about backup systems. And I talk about backup options, and we look at the reviews of stuff on Amazon. And I tell you how to approach backups and file labeling and archival. So that is kind of what I would look at. So backup, very important. I would also back up things like your thumbnails and the original Photoshop or GIMP files or whatever. So that would be something that I would look at. I already talked about Canva, Photoshop. Yes, Photopea is out there. Affinity Photo, so on and so forth. So that can be things you guys can use from a design standpoint. Again, I'm a Photoshop person. Yeah, DaVinci Resolve, speed editor. Yep, DaVinci Resolve is really good. OpusClip is what I use for repurposing. Shout out to OpusClip. So for repurposing content, clipping content, a lot of things from these live streams are going to be going on the Roberto Blake highlights channel. I think I'm rebranding that to the Roberto Blake archive channel or something like that. We'll see. But anyway, the highlights channel at Roberto Blake Speaks is going to end up getting clips, shorter clips of the live streams eventually. And Opus is what's going to be doing that the most. And these sessions are sitting here on my YouTube channel, and they will be here on my YouTube channel. You can watch the replay of these sessions if somebody's asking about that. So again, these are the more advanced and ruthless tactics that I utilize and teach to help people grow YouTube channels, and they can be applied to a variety of niches. There are caveats that I would use for gaming. There are caveats I would use for music. Like, I've coached gaming creators. I don't apply all of these tactics to those gaming creators because a lot of them are younger. I want them to still enjoy this, and I want them to not burn out. And I talk to them individually and coach them based on their personality. If I give you broad general advice, it's not going to be catered to any emotional aspect of your personality as a creator because it's broad general advice. If I talk to you one-on-one, I'm going to take your lifestyle, circumstances, and emotional needs into consideration because that's a personal relationship one-on-one. But if I'm doing a large format thing where I have to speak to everybody, it's going to be a by the numbers, ruthless strategy that's predicated on logic and data. And that's what I have to do for broad audience stuff because it will make the most sense and most value to the most people, regardless of circumstances. Obviously, there'll be outliers and people like, this doesn't work for me. This doesn't apply to me. I have these limitations. I have these needs. I have this thing. I have this emotional bandwidth. I have this. I have that. That's a one-on-one conversation. If it's in a large room, I have to cater to the majority of people or make my best guess at what will work for the majority of people. If I am in a smaller group setting, that's different. If it's one-on-one, that's different. And then I can take emotional intelligence into consideration. If not, I just have to default to ruthless logic and strategy if it is a broad audience group, because the majority of people could dissect and apply what applies to them for the most part. If people do not have the ability to work in abstracts and separate what is and isn't appropriate for them, all I can do is give you warnings and caveats and say, hey, here are the places where I think people are just more emotionally invested and therefore they would hate this strategy. So I just warn people and say, if this needs to be a hobby because that's an emotional need you have, don't do this. Let it sit in its proper place. So, that's the thing. Other than that, we're going to use the strategy of min-maxing. In fact, if any of you have ever played real-time strategy video games, the concept that I'm using is a quantity to quality approach over a period of time, because it's not that I'm anti-quality. It's that in the beginning, to ever qualify for that opportunity, you might need the brute force tactic of having 1,000 videos that can go out and bring in resources and bring in support that you can then apply and put toward doing quality later. So if you've ever played the video game StarCraft or a video game like it, you go out and you have drones that say, we require more minerals. We require more minerals. So you have drones that have to go out and get minerals and resources and stack up those resources to qualify you to start building facilities and units that can help you. In YouTube speak, you have to go out and make videos that can go out and get you the required amount of subscribers and watch time to get the opportunity to make money from the YouTube Partner Program. So if you're in StarCraft, until you've reached the required number of minerals, you cannot build the things that are going to help you win the game at all. And you have to start out with that by just patiently having your drones go out and get resources. And the smart thing is you take the resources those drones brought in, you go and you make more drones. You go ahead and you maximize the number of drones that can bring in resources so that you have more resources to spend on things that will win the game. I view YouTube videos as foot soldiers, drones, whose job is go out, get more views, go out, get more subscribers, go out, make more money. Great, fantastic. You've brought in support and a community for me. That's going to be something that's going to be useful. You brought in money and resources. Fantastic. We can get more help making videos. We can make bigger, better videos. We can make videos faster, more effectively. We can make them bigger, better, stronger videos because we have more resources and more support. Now, great. Now we're making more effective videos that are more capable of going and getting more viewers, more subscribers, and even more money. And now we're going to be able to use that. And now we're going to be able to achieve our goals because we have more resources and more support. And this is a virtuous cycle where I believe that more videos are better. There are unicorns out there. There will be James Johnnies. There will be Mark Robers. That's not most of us. That's not most of us. There will be people who can do that. The most successful male YouTubers that I'm aware of basically are geniuses, jocks, or jokers. And they are exceptional at those three things. Whichever of those three things or two of the three that they are good at. Most of us are not great comedians, charismatic risk takers who can make fools of ourselves on camera with no sweat off of our back. So we're not jokers. We're not court jesters. We don't have the chops for it. Not everybody can be Dave Chappelle. Not everyone can be Matt Rife. So then, are we a genius? Is everyone going to be Ali Abdaal, Mark Rober, or MKBHD? Probably not. So we're not all geniuses. We're not all jocks. We're not Ryan Trahan. We're not KSI. We're not the Paul brothers. Maybe it's better that we're not the Paul brothers. So we're not jocks. So if you're not a genius, a jock, or a joker, then maybe you're not an outlier that could just be this overwhelmingly popular viral sensation. It doesn't mean that there's no avenue available to you. You might be able to just then ruthlessly go through the process of min-maxing and strategize your way to a reasonable outcome that gives you the outcomes and lifestyle and things that you might want to get out of a YouTube channel. If you don't want a career and a lifestyle that comes out of that, and all you want is some support, some expression, a community, you can use less aggressive tactics than this and just get to monetization and 10,000, 20,000 subscribers and be happy with that. You do not need to be validated by a trophy, and you do not need to do this full time. Most of you might be happier if this is just a hobby for you and that you just have a small community of 10, 20,000 subscribers and you make another $100, $200 a month that you can treat yourself to something nice with. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's all you ever wanted out of YouTube. And if you go to the back catalog of a lot of my content, a lot of my beginner content, some of my analytics stuff, it is good enough to help you accomplish that goal. It's more than enough. You do not have to go to the extremes that come with trying to do what I talked about in this video. You do not have to go to the extremes of joining the Academy Pro group and doing a group membership. You don't have to go to the extremes of doing a one-on-one call with me. You don't have to go out and buy anybody's YouTube course. If anything, I would say maybe what could be helpful, even if you're doing it for a hobby, is buying my book, because that's just a $10, $15 thing. And books are great. There's no downside in reading something. And so you could do that. You can watch my free content. Maybe that can help. You can, look at, if you're going to buy anything, you could buy my templates and then the work is done for you for your thumbnails or for your brand deal kits and things like that. So then maybe that's helpful if you're doing that. Those things are affordable. But for most of you, you don't have to spend that much money beyond your gear and your software in order to do this as a hobby. If you're doing it as a hobby, I would still reinvest into the hobby. When I did hobbies, I'd pay money. I paid money when I played Magic the Gathering. I paid money when I played Yu-Gi-Oh! I paid money when I played Pokemon. Like, that was the thing you did. So I don't see the problem with spending money into your YouTube channel as a hobby either. You spend money if you play basketball or golf too. So I would argue that there's no reason to not spend some money into YouTube. I do not think that if you only want to do this as a hobby, that's necessary to buy coaching and courses for a hobby. If you want it to be a career, I don't see a downside. As long as you've done some of the work to qualify to say there's a reason why you could be successful and that there's demand in the thing that you're doing, then yeah, I think that makes sense then. But for a good number of people, they should stick to doing this as a hobby because they won't be happy optimizing for success. They won't be happy optimizing for success. So that is something that I think is very, very important. My C Prince says, hey, Roberto, every few months I buy another 2 terabyte disk type HD. Anything really valuable I put on one more than one drive. My belief is that something should exist in 3 places or it doesn't exist. So for data and for paperwork, it exists in 3 places or it doesn't exist. Yeah, I started playing Magic the Gathering back in Mirage in 1994, I believe, when I was in Boy Scouts. So I was playing in Mirage. I dominated Urza Block. I destroyed people for free in Urza Block. It was ridiculous. It was like I was cold as hell in Urza Block. Like I was so bad when it came to this, that when I was in high school and I was a Magic the Gathering nerd, the only way they could make it interesting is to play me 3-on-1. is to play me 3-on-1 if I was using this very specific deck, because I had a control deck that was a white angel deck that utilized a lot of things like Sarah Avatar, and I had a ridiculous combo for Wall of Glare, Inviolability, and Spirit Link that basically made it to where if I got the right hand, I would start the game with basically invulnerability and infinite life every time you attack. And my entire strategy for that deck was every single thing that a person can do in the entire game's mechanics will only increase my life points. It got to a point to where people's entire decks did not have the capacity to deal enough damage to kill me before they would run out of cards. So like again, min-maxing and game mechanics and game theory is my entire jam. I literally spent my time in Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh! And things like StarCraft, literally figuring out what mechanics in the game exist to rig the game to make me invincible. And that was my only, my strategy was, is there a way that I can make myself invincible in this game and make every single mechanic of the game profit me in the outcome and add to a win condition that either frustrates my opponent to the point to where they concede and quit, or that it makes it almost impossible to defeat me? Another thing I came up with was also, how can I either deal compounding damage the longer the game goes on, the more damage I'm going to do with the minimal amount of effort? And also I came up with speed. I came up with, how can I blitzkrieg my opponent with overwhelming frustration as quickly as possible and make it to where it becomes untenable for them to play the game, or it may become so frustrating that they quit. So another thing I came up with was a direct damage counterspell deck in Magic the Gathering, where basically counterspells means I negate the effects of your card. It's like you never played it. And so I optimized the entire thing to where everything had a 1 to 3 cast cost, mostly optimized for 1 to 2 cast cost. So I either, oh, you play a card, oh, I immediately deal damage to that card, it goes to the graveyard. Oh, you played a card, I counterspell, go to the graveyard. It just basically became every time you put a card into play, it might as well not exist. And I just kept doing that. And the longer the game goes on, the more I'm able to do it, because everything cost me only 1 to 2 mana, maybe 3 at most. So I just did that. And it was so absurd that people would get like 5-6 turns in and just forfeit the game. And so I just do that. I play MTG Arena sometimes. I haven't played in a good while. The last time I was really dominant was when I was Gold League, struggling my way to try to get to like Platinum or Mithril. When I was Gold League, I think I got to Platinum, but never to Mithril. So I was like Gold League or something. I was playing a Nicol Bolas deck at the time, and it was just annoying for people. Yeah. So like I was doing that. I went beyond Urza's block. I went to the Mercadian Mask block. I went to, I played relevant decks. I never got into command decks. But anyway, I'm just making a point about game mechanics and game theory. Is my thing is I analyze the conditions of anything. So even with YouTube, I go, okay, here are all the conditions and all the aspects of YouTube. I've analyzed all the dimensions of every aspect of YouTube, every function, every single feature, every single policy of YouTube, every single feature of the platform, every single format, everything that you can optimize for, every field that you can fill in, every condition, every variable. I've even analyzed the YouTube API, and I've been on the back end building my own internal API tools. So I looked at that. I looked at and analyzed the top 500 channels across the major 15 verticals that are measured by Social Blade. And I pay Social Blade about $59 a month to get reports from Social Blade so I can analyze the top 500 channels in every category of the 15 major vertical categories of YouTube, compile that data to be able to make sample case studies. I take these things to some absurd, unreasonable degree of analysis. I literally just sit here and overanalyze everything the same way I did in my video game hobbies, which is part of why I had to stop playing video games, is because I had this weird compulsion to where I would try to analyze and understand everything. And then I would put myself in a position to where I was playing to win at the expense of making it not fun. And that's like, again, so hence the brutally ruthless YouTube strategy stuff is, again, over optimizing and not making it fun. So it would be stuff like that. I retired from Call of Duty before esports took off, when it got to a point of getting like, 47 confirmed kills in Call of Duty in a single round, because I would basically, I wasn't literally cheating, but I was a camper and I was annoying, and I had I would memorize spawn points and maps very quickly, and I had entire strategies of having conditions for spawn points and maps, and so it was very unfair to someone who's not taking it that seriously. I was the same way in God, what was it? Counter-Strike. I was the same way in Counter-Strike back in the way. Counter-terrorist win. Like, so it was like the whole thing. StarCraft. Oh God. That was just me making everything not fun. That was me not making everything fun. So yeah, so I use game mechanics and game theory logic, and then I apply that to strategies for YouTube, strategies for online business, strategies for developing other types of systems. And basically, it's the concept of min-maxing. So you minimize the overall downsides of anything that you can, and then you maximize for your win condition and your outcome. And you basically just predetermine that by understanding the system and mechanics. And you basically memorize the rule book. You memorize the rule book, and then it's not that you're looking for loopholes, it's that you're looking to actually genuinely exploit the most repeatable conditions that exist within the game that you're playing. So you exploit repeatable conditions that are inevitable conditions, and then ultimately you would maximize around that. So in YouTube speak, what this basically comes down to, what this comes down to is the condition of YouTube is every single time you upload and have a video that exists, every video that you upload that exists has the capacity to gain views, has the capacity to gain subscribers, has the capacity to, once you're monetized, generate ad revenue, and every video generates watch time. So then I break everything down to the conditions that say, okay, well, if that's the condition that every time I upload a YouTube video, these things will happen, and these are the outcomes that I need, then the answer is to upload more YouTube videos, because uploading is the catalyst for all outcomes. All outcomes are determined by uploading individual YouTube videos. So individual videos add up to every outcome that we have. Now, collectively, we're rewarded for the combined outcomes of our entire back catalog. So now I don't care about individual videos beyond the fact that they exist, because their existence adds to my overall back catalog. My overall back catalog is the size of my army. My army of videos are individually and collectively capable of achieving all of the goals and all of the outcomes that I want. Therefore, the most practical strategy for achieving anything with YouTube is sheer numbers. It's sheer numbers. By the way, if you're wondering, that's why YouTube Shorts are killing it, and why the number of channels that have silver and gold play buttons basically doubled during the pandemic. The number of channels that have silver and gold play buttons all but doubled during the pandemic, because the sheer force of numbers makes that happen. Because people who win on YouTube Shorts upload 3 to 8 YouTube Shorts every single day, which means that when someone uploads 8 YouTube Shorts every single day, at the end of a month, they have about roughly 240 videos, which means that every 4 months they have 1,000 videos, which means they have 3,000 videos working for them in a single year. When someone has 3,000 videos working for them in a single year, do you know what happens? If each of those videos was only good enough to get them even 30 subscribers, they essentially get a silver play button. If the videos were not that good and they only got them 10,000 subscribers, they still would get 30,000 1,000 subscribers and would be 1/3 of a way to a silver play button. Hence, when somebody literally is doing that in YouTube Shorts, they always have this exponential advantage of sheer volume. They are killing it. It is insanity. And so, yes, they do overwhelmingly well. Even with their low RPMs, the sheer volume of videos that exist means that they can make livable income off of those videos by sheer weight of numbers. And that presumes that all they got was ad revenue from it, which is the main thing. But what if they even get a few super thanks on those YouTube Shorts? With the sheer volume of them, even if that happens once in a while, that's enough donations to add up and to matter. If people decide to support them and become channel members, they have so much overwhelming volume that that could happen as well. So it actually makes practical sense for YouTube Shorts creators and why they grow so fast, and they support the concept of sheer volume of numbers. And again, I know this because I did daily long form videos for about 3 years. And so because I did daily long form videos for about 3 years, I have an understanding of the benefits of doing that. And remember, if it got me this far, think about someone who can do short form that performs as well as my long form or better, but is able to do it 3 times a day or 8 times a day. That's insanity. And again, their economy of effort of doing that would be equivalent to my economy of effort of making a daily video. But they also theoretically, because of the short form, have less reach and less requirement of investment. And so that makes it reduced down to a purely numbers game. And on a long enough timeline, superior numbers win. On a long enough timeline, overwhelming numbers tend to win. That's why I actually don't believe in quality over quantity. I do believe that value matters more than quantity or quality. However, if it's a choice between quality and quantity, the thing is, in the short term, you want quality. In the long term, you want quantity. That sounds backwards, doesn't it? Hear me out. Overwhelming numbers over time. So the thing that we're talking about when we talk about that is, would you rather get a lump sum of money up front or benefit from compound interest over time? If you get a lump sum of money up front, that money, you'll spend it as time goes on. If you're getting continuous money over time, though, and it keeps increasing, then it exponentially grows. Therefore, it's probably smarter to take a penny that doubles every day than to take $1 million up front, because as time goes on, the value of the upfront money goes down, the value of the compounding goes up. So you would pick compound interest. So that's why it reduces it to a numbers game. Is that me literally telling you go off and do nothing but YouTube Shorts? No, but I'm explaining the phenomenon that happens in YouTube as a result of this and the strategy behind it. Okay, I need watch time. Okay, do you know what watch time is? Watch time for 4,000 hours in a year is 12 hours a day. 12 hours a day of watch time. If I was going to ruthlessly optimize to get 4,000 hours of watch time, the thing that I would either do is I'd be making extremely long videos that make sense for people to watch the whole thing through. So I'd be making extremely long videos of 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, or I would go live every day, and I would go live in the vertical format probably. But if my content didn't suit the vertical format, so be it. I would do the horizontal format. Would I do this with 0 subscribers? No, I would do this with at least 100 to 500 subscribers. Probably I would do it at 500 subscribers. Why? Because at 500 subscribers, when I hit 3,000 hours, I'd be able to monetize. So at 500 subscribers, what would I do? If I don't have the watch hours, I would start live streaming every day, probably in vertical video. Vertical video has more reach. If I can get, at that point, if I get 30 people to tune into a live stream concurrently and stay with me for those 1 to 2 hours, then I've accumulated 30 to 60 hours of watch time a day. If I was doing that every day over the course of a month, then what's my outcome? My outcome becomes that I'm getting that 30 to potentially 60 watch hours every single day for a month. It means that at the end of a month, I'm going to have somewhere between 900 and 1,800 watch hours, which means I'm going to be monetized in that situation in 2 to 3 months. I'm going to be monetized in 2 to 3 months if I go with that scenario, not counting any of my long form videos. That's how I would ruthlessly use strategy to optimize for an outcome that I want, which would be, okay, YouTube partner program. I'm at 500 subscribers. Fantastic. I go out and then I live stream for 1 to 2 hours in vertical video that has the most reach every day, be entertaining enough to keep 30 people potentially watching me. And then if people know that I'm doing it every day, announcing in my community tab all the time, I'm going live, I'm going live, I'm going live, and I schedule it, then I can get 10, 20, 30 people or more to watch me every single day for that hour. I can tell people, hey, I'm trying to get to monetization. If you have a friend who could come in and watch the live stream, please share it with them. Requesting that from the audience, boom, gets the live stream up. And then we can get 30, 50, 60 people watching me for an hour. I do what they want. I ask their questions. I entertain them. It's whatever it is. Okay, boom. That means in literally anywhere from 1 to 3 months, I could get the 3,000 to 4,000 hours to get into the YouTube partner program. But I would start that process at 500 subscribers because then I have the qualifications because it makes sense. That's why I would use the mechanics of the game as it exists. The mechanics of YouTube as it exists would accommodate that because I've reduced it to a numbers game. And the numbers game says 12 hours a day every day for 1 year, or for 6 months, 24 hours of watch time in a day, 24 hours in a watch time of a day, or, and again, 24 hours of watch time in a day again in 6 months, 24 people coming into a live stream, not counting any replays, none of that, concurrently watching you for an hour. If you go for 2 hours, it shortens it up. Boom, it's 3 months. At that point, it's 3 months. If you can get more people to do it, you can shorten it down beyond that. There you go. Mission accomplished. You can literally reduce it down to the numbers to achieve the goal and just turn it into a rigged game very quickly in your own favor. So that's how I would approach it. For vertical video, does the thumbnail need to be vertical as well? Doesn't have to be. The way that you could approach this is if you upload from your phone specifically, then YouTube will let you pick a frame in the video to use for the quote unquote cover when the thing is vertical. If you had a reason why on your main YouTube channel you wanted a regular traditional thumbnail, you could do one for that on the desktop side. But again, I don't really see why you would, because Shorts has its own tab. So it's not like it's messing up your feed or your homepage if you don't want it to. So I wouldn't really worry about that. And people worry way too much about their feed. It's a vanity thing. So I wouldn't worry about it. Also, Shorts, you don't really have to worry about people initially clicking on them unless it shows up on the YouTube page in the short shelf or something like that. Again, what you want to do for that is you want to upload from your mobile phone. But again, if you don't pick a frame of your video to be the cover when you do that currently, then you won't get the opportunity to reselect for it. So you need to choose to do that intentionally. So whatever the thumbnail you want to design should be at least one frame in the video. Maybe it's the frame at the end of the video, and then that could be the cover that people click on, and then it goes into the video. So maybe you make the last frame the thing that you want the thumbnail. So it could be like 1 or 2 frames at the end is the design thumbnail. You have that edited in the video already, baked in, and then you select that as the cover when you upload it from a mobile device. So that's how you would approach a thumbnail for the vertical videos. So for the so I would do that for the YouTube Shorts. For your live streams, you could just use a regular thumbnail for the YouTube live stream replays in vertical, and that could just sit in the live tab, and it doesn't have to be anything special. So you could do that. So like I said, you could use the vertical live streams to speed run the watch time part of YouTube and get it. Shorts do not contribute to watch time, but the vertical live streams do. So you could just speed run that, and you could just go daily until watch time. Go daily until watch time with vertical live streams, and the vertical live streams would accomplish the watch time requirement, and you can speed run it in 1 to 3 months by just going daily. 1 to 3 months daily, you speed run the watch time, because again, 12 hours of watch time every single day is 12 months. 24 hours of watch time every single day, 6 months. 36 hours of watch time every single day reduces it to 3 months. And essentially, of course, a little over a month, if it's 100 hours of watch time every single day, then you get it in about 3 months and change. Like, sorry, not 3 months, 30 days and change. So a month and change, month and a half, if it's 100 hours of watch time. So you literally just reduce it to a numbers game. You literally reduce it to a numbers game. It's like, there, I speed ran watch time, the end. So that's how you would do it. L Hollow Knight says, does YouTube have any problem if I take some of my shorts and make a longer video with them? If it is transformative, you should be fine. And if you get hit with reused content policy, then appeal it and reach out to Team YouTube and Twitter. Chad Mullen says, I'm going to start my first live stream soon. I'm teaching DaVinci Resolve. How long of a live stream should I shoot if I'm teaching a beginner's crash course? It would depend on how you're structuring it, and it depends on whether or not you're answering questions during the stream. So I would focus on a lesson and a structure. And I would say maybe you could make a 30 to 45 minute lesson plan to go live with, and then take a few questions and end it at about an hour, hour and a half. The Electric Cat says, as a faceless channel, so would promoting on YouTube be a viable option to get the watch hours? Using the promotion tab does not count toward watch hours at all. So no one buy engagement with the YouTube promote button. It's really just for brands who want to sell things, and they need that, just kind of like how brands have the promote button in Instagram and Facebook. So do not promote or boost your post in YouTube with paying money. It does not count towards your watch hours at all. It is not for you. It is really for brands. So I wouldn't use it as a creator. I would use it as a business, but not as a creator. Sean Gao Savvy Design says, with the daily live streams, does it matter if it's at different times or should we be at the same time each day? You would optimize live streaming around your lifestyle. If you could do it at the same time every day, scheduled, that'd be great. If you can't, do it when you're available, but do promote it in your YouTube community tab or schedule it at least a little bit for YouTube to be able to circulate it to people who might be interested. So prep time goes a long way. Schedule it at least 15 to 30 minutes in advance, a day in advance if you can. More than that, the longer in advance you can schedule a live stream, the better. But at least, if nothing else, announce it in your community tab and your other social media platforms to have the maximum chance that people will show up to you. Because if you're going to do daily live streams, the goal for me, if you do daily live streams, is to live stream for 1 to 2 hours a day, every single day, and optimize for the watch time by trying to get 10 to 30 people to show up for you to be on the stream the entire time, and then request for them, if they are enjoying the stream, to share it and to get other people to watch live. And then that gives you the best chance of getting the watch hours. So your goal is to get anywhere from 10, 30 to 100 people to watch concurrently live when you do this. And then if you have that many people watching concurrently live, then you can optimize to get the watch hours a lot sooner. And then that shortens the curve for how long it takes to get monetized on YouTube in terms of watch hours being the hardest way to go about it. So the hardest thing to overcome is the watch hours for a lot of people. So there's that. Now, you want to know how to get the 1,000 subscribers? The answer to get the 1,000 subscribers, the way you approach the 1,000 subscribers is by having 30 to 50 videos minimum that all target one audience, like we talked about, and are designed for engagement and retention. And you do need to ask for the subscribe somewhere in the video, usually after you've created some kind of value for the viewer that they resonate with, and then they can subscribe to you. So, subscribe, or Tomcat here is going to be upset with me. So if you're not subscribed, you need to be subscribed, or Tomcat's going to be angry. So there is that. So that would be something that I would think of, is like not literally that and using my cat for subscribers. But again, I would come up with something that reminds people that, hey, if you're enjoying the videos and this is the kind of content that you've always been looking for, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a thing. Boom. That's a very simple call to action. I would not do that at the beginning of a video. I would do it after I've delivered some value at the video. Maybe 2 to 3 minutes in on an 8 to 12 minute video would be appropriate. So that's something that I would probably look at. Pipe Cleaner Craft says, hey, Roberto, question, please. What is your opinion on using scripts created by ChatGPT in terms of copyrights? Remember, if you watch my ChatGPT workshop and my AI workshop, I explain exactly what my point of view was on that. It's that you don't create the scripts in there, you edit the scripts in there. The Electric Cat says, off topic, but how do you balance fitness and health with being a full-time creator? Wake up at 5 a.m. Don't stream until 1 a.m. like this. Get your 6-7 hours of sleep, 8 if you need it that badly. If you're me, you stop streaming at about 1:30 when you do something stupid like stream late at night. You go to bed, you wake up at about 8:30. If I was doing it the normal way, I'd be waking up at about 5 or 6. You get up early, you do your personal hygiene and grooming. You go ahead and you go to the closet and you go ahead and do your pull-ups on your pull-up bar. You go ahead and you do your calisthenics. Then you do your set of dumbbells before you go downstairs. You go downstairs, you cook your breakfast. You then go and you go for a quick 30-minute walk to get the first 3,000 to 4,000 steps of the day in. You come back. By this time, roughly 90 minutes to 2 hours have passed. It's not even 8 or 9 o'clock at that point. And so now you have time to sit down and write and get ideas out and do your free writing for about an hour to 90 minutes. Then it's probably time to take the first call for the day. Then it's time to do admin work. Then, of course, you're going to have lunch, around 1 or 2 o'clock. Then you're probably going to, after that, and after being settled, if you're me, maybe you film something for the day at that point. Then it's probably time to do another call. Then probably a 90-minute editing session. Then probably either admin work or another call or meeting. If it's Tuesday or Thursday, then it's Creator Academy office hours. If it's not, then it's probably a coaching call at about maybe roughly 4 o'clock. It's probably a coaching call then. Then coaching call wraps. Then it's admin work for a little bit, or a nap, or going for a walk or a workout. Finishing that, do a live stream at 6 or 6:30 if I'm being smart, instead of doing it at midnight. Then stream ends at about roughly 8 or 9 o'clock if I'm not being silly about it and doing something extreme like 3 hours. Then it's time to go ahead, and if I haven't already eaten, then I'll have something light. Then it's time for evening routine. Then in bed by about 10:30, 10 o'clock. Get, again, good 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep. Wake up 5 or 6:30. Do it all again. Rinse and repeat Monday through Friday. Take the weekends to do whatever the hell I want. The end. So that'd be about probably what it looks like in terms of a theoretically reasonable routine. So again, if you're a working class creator who has a 9-to-5 job, instead of controlling your time like me, then it would be different, obviously. But if you're a full-time creator, the thing that I would recommend for a full-time creator, I tell this to a lot of my clients, is wake up at 5 o'clock, 5:30. If you wake up at 5 o'clock, 5 a.m., it's not a productivity routine for no good reason. If you wake up at 5 a.m., then what you're able to do is you're able to have 90 minutes to yourself of peace and quiet and self-care, and shower, eat, breakfast, maybe even go for a walk, do all that stuff. It's 90 minutes to yourself first thing in the morning. Now it's 6:30 by that time. You can literally do 2 hours of deep work, 90 minutes to 2 hours of deep work. So what's deep work? You have 90 minutes to 2 hours, and you can do one of the following things. You could literally either film content if it's not going to wake anybody up in absolute peace, quiet, and silence at that time of morning, usually. If not, and people are up, awake, and moving about or whatever because they're early birds too or whatever, then what you really get to do is you could sit there and you could do admin work, research your scripts, write your scripts, work on thumbnail design, work on concepts, do your research in 1 of 10, no distractions, no nothing. And you can get 2 hours of work out of the way before it's even 8:30 a.m. now. And now you've done all of that, and you shouldn't really touch your email until then. Then, okay, maybe you look at your email. And now it's 8:30, and if you're a full-time creator, it's 8:30. So you've done 2 hours of deep work, you've had your breakfast, you've gone for a walk, you've had a morning routine, you've done meditation, you've had shower, you've had some time to maybe read a little bit of a book or something like that. Maybe while you were doing your deep work, you were either listening to some audio tunes, or you're listening to a podcast or something while you're doing your deep work. Editing, you could have been doing editing that morning for 90 minutes to 2 hours uninterrupted, whatever. So okay, it's 8:30. Oh my God, I've still got all this time, and I've still got all this energy, and it's not even the afternoon yet, and you're not even worn down. Okay, great. So now you've done that deep work. You can take another 30 minutes, go for another walk. So now you've had 2 walks before it's even noon, which means you've gotten 3,000 steps per walk for 30 minutes, 3,000 to 4,000 steps for 30 minutes. So that means you have somewhere between 6,000 and 8,000 steps in, and it's not even noon yet, and you're not exhausted, and you've still got all this great energy. So now time for another deep work session for another 90 minutes to 2 hours. So now you've gotten 4 hours of work done. It's 10:30. You've gotten in an hour or so of exercise. It's 10:30. You've gotten 4 hours of work done, and you've actually also still had peace and quiet. So now it's 10:30. So now that you're done with this deep work session here, maybe it's time for you to go and take 90 minutes to actually just do something and decompress and have a learning session. So what are you going to do for this next 90 minutes? For this next 90 minutes, you get to relax and decompress and take a break and have some kind of snack or graze, and just spend 90 minutes listening to a podcast or an audiobook, or doing some very not intense research that might be consuming content of some kind. Or you can take that as a break and say you want to run errands for 90 minutes. By the time that's over, because this is you're doing this at about 10:30, 90 minutes later, it's noon. It's time for you to go and have lunch. And now you can go ahead and you can take an hour or 90 minutes for lunch. You come back, it's 1 o'clock, it's 1:30. You can do another 2 hours of uninterrupted work before it's 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the afternoon. Now you can take another break and go work out or go for a walk. Congratulations. You've done 10,000 steps now and been active. And you've managed to get in 3 deep working sessions of 6 hours of strong work. You've managed to get in a good almost 2 hours probably of learning and reading and stuff like that. You've got in some robust exercise and everything. You're on a roll. Things are fantastic. So now it's like 3 o'clock, 3:30. If you wanted to, you could take this opportunity and you could just take a power nap. You just take a power nap. It's 3 o'clock, it's 3:30. What's the harm? Because you just did another deep work session. So what's the harm? So then you wake up. It's 4 o'clock. It's 4:30. Okay. You're refreshed. You do another 2 hours of work. It's 6 o'clock. Work day's over. Time to go ahead. Start preparing dinner, supper, whatever. It's like, okay, you do that. You've had time to eat. You can go ahead and do a last glance for 30 minutes at maybe some emails. You've done 8 hours of work. You don't need to do any more. It's time for an evening routine of decompressing and just enjoying the rest of your evening. And then you can go to bed and you can do some hobby stuff. You have all this time before it's 10 o'clock and you need to be in bed to get a good 7-8 hours of sleep, about 7 hours in this case. You literally have like all the time between, like about 6 and 10 to do whatever, as long as you do an evening routine and you sleep. And so it's a very, very peaceful way to go about things. And there's wiggle room in this. And you could alternate days that are maker days where you do more maker stuff, creator stuff. And then you can have manager days where you do more admin work. And so you could literally go about doing this and you can rig it different ways. If you wanted, you could get 10 hours of work in and still be pretty relaxed and still get in a good amount of fitness and life and lifestyle and everything like that. And the reason I say you can get 10 hours in is because what if you did this and then you did it 10 hours and you still just went from you wake up at 5 a.m., but you are done with all your work and you clock out at 6 or 7 and you get in 10 hours of work somehow in between all of that. What if you did all of that, but the thing is you only did it 4 days a week and you took the other 3 days off completely? You could do that. So there's a lot of ways to make this work and have it benefit you and have a healthy lifestyle as a full-time creator. You just have to be thoughtful and intentional about it, and how you go about it has to make sense for you. So that's kind of the thing. Yeah, I have procrastination and burnout issues just like everybody else. It's called literally the 4 years of the pandemic. Like the 3-4 years of the pandemic, that's what that is. You do other activities like martial arts. Informally, yes, but eventually I'll probably just do Brazilian jiu-jitsu up the street eventually. And so that probably for me take the place of the nap that I prescribe you guys is probably just me going and doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu. What about a stand-up desk? Yeah, no, this is a stand-up desk. Yeah, so this is a stand-up desk, as you can clearly see. So, yep, standing desk. Yay. Goals, fitness, stand-up desk. So we do have that. Actually, probably need to bring it down just a bit so that actually is reasonable to hit the keyboard and mouse thing. So yeah, standing desk. Yeah, power naps are great. Any pillow or something for back pain in the chair? Yep. Right here. Right here. Pillow for that. Temperature control. There's a fan, oscillating fan over there. You can barely hear it because I spent a bunch of money to make sure it's silent. Jacket in case I do get too cold. So we got all the things. Yeah, if you're a crafting channel, there is a portion of that that has to be dedicated to you actually making the things for the filming. So of course that would matter. How much do you stand and work? My husband rarely stands, even though he has a standing desk. Yeah, I don't do it enough, Angelique. I don't stand enough, even though I have a standing desk. What I end up mostly doing is I do go on the walks, though, so that helps out considerably. Malevolent Elephant is saying, I'm pivoting from animal reactions to more of a documentary style, higher edited videos about animals. I'm ready to challenge myself. That's cool, but I would also consider for your stuff supplementing that with aggressively posting short form stuff about animals, short form animal reactions. So if I was you, I'd actually spam shorts and speed run to a higher subscriber number, even off of that. So yeah. All right, everybody. So again, I think that almost 4 hours is enough content. Hopefully my strategy session was valuable and helpful to you guys. Of course, you can support the channel by supporting the sponsors linked in the description. Our friends over at OpusClip for repurposing, Kajabi for selling online courses, coaching, and communities and cohorts. So make sure you check those out. Our sponsors are linked in the description down below. Thank you to our sponsors. You can sign up for the free newsletter and download the free creator playbook. It's a 12-week playbook to help you level up as a content creator. And of course, you can buy my book, which also should be linked in the description down below. It's called Create Something Awesome, How Creators Are Profiting from Their Passion in the Creator Economy. It's another great way you can support the channel. There's also links to other products and services in the description. Of course, the details for how to hire me for coaching. Make sure for that you check out awesomecreatoracademy.com. We also have a bunch of free resources over there, so make sure you're checking that out. We try to offer as much value as we possibly can. You can join the Awesome Creator Academy Pro group. We do group private coaching sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have 100 hours of exclusive content and training available that is only for our members currently. So we have that in a back catalog. You also get access to all of my digital products and all future courses that we produce. So you can check that out. awesomecreatoracademy.com. Consider joining the pro group and becoming a member today. So just want to do that housekeeping announcement. What else have we got going on? I will be at Vid Summit Labor Day weekend doing a speaking engagement on becoming a full-time content creator. So if you're in Texas, make sure you visit me at Vid Summit. Chad Mullen saying, I'd recently purchased the Brand Deal Starter Kit, some great info, and I'm already pairing it with a couple. Congratulations. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Let's see. Yep. You're definitely going to watch the replay of what you missed. Fantastic. Thank you to all 700 and change of you who tuned in tonight across all 6 platforms via StreamYard, Facebook, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, Twitch.com, X.com, formerly Twitter, Kick.com. We had 6 platforms going live, over 700 of you across all platforms concurrently. So thank you for that. Really appreciate all of you. We're going to end by going with the promo for my book, Create Something Awesome, if you haven't checked that out. So we're going to end with the trailer for my book, and I will catch you guys. We do have a stream scheduled for Friday. We might do a workshop Wednesday. I am trying to post as many videos as I can in August, trying to kind of sort of post a video every day in August. We'll see how it goes. I'm not going to probably be able to hit every single day in August, but we'll try. But we probably will do a workshop Wednesday live stream at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday. We have a live stream scheduled for this Friday that you don't want to miss. It's going to be another strategy session. So stay awesome, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. I finally did it. I finished my book, Create Something Awesome, How Content Creators Are Profiting from Their Passion in the Creator Economy. The book is available now in paperback and in Kindle, where you can read it on any e-reader or device. And I'm really excited about this. The audiobook is coming soon, probably October 2022. Oh my God, it's so great to be able to have this book done, put it up on the bookshelf, and to know that all of you who appreciate it, you want to hear what I have to say about the creator economy, becoming a full-time content creator, and what the experience and lifestyle of being a content creator actually is like. This is the book. I put 20 chapters in here of the most important things I think that content creators could be focusing on today. I talk about the mental health aspect of being a content creator, getting discouraged, imposter syndrome, not charging what you're worth, and mostly actionable advice around monetizing your content properly, but also how to build an audience on your authenticity and what it's really like to start from zero, even today. So if you're interested, make sure you're checking out the book. You can order it on Amazon. You also probably order it in a lot of other places like Barnes & Noble, and it will be coming to other bookstores soon. Really excited about it. Thank you for all the support and love around the book and the positive reviews. Now go ahead and pick it up and make sure you go out there and create something awesome today. Take care.